all selection. That is their right because they're coming from the upper bracket after defeating BNK there in a 3-1 fashion. So they pick blue and they pick first pick. Not a big surprise. As we go back to the old days with that one, Yunara is going to be banned straight away. Definitely a good idea after what we saw yesterday from Diablo, just in general.
Wise here in game one, especially, as I think for BNK, the Rumble and the Pantheon are definitely the two big ones you're looking at. And you have the considerations between the Varus and the Vi, as you are our second pick. So these are the standard ones you're going to be taking away. The Nico ban is certainly an interesting one here. So both the Yunara and the Nico are gone now by GENG's hands. If they're not looking for a Varus themselves, they could ban it here as well. The Orianna, the Azir, we've talked about this so much. We'll take the Azir away from Vikla despite its really low win rate here and lack of success. So let's see, will we see the Varus for the Orianna?
Yeah, and Rise, definitely something that a lot of our deskers have been saying over the last couple of days is super OP.
One thing to consider here in this draft as well, and I think it wouldn't be shocking based on the playstyle of BNK, is that Lucian pick is still looming here. When the Yunara, the Nico are gone, that pick stocks go up quite heavily. So we'll see the Rise, not surprising to no one, expectedly locked in here first. So what will be the response? The Varus is available, the Cassiopeia is available here for Vikla if he wants to go for the more standard counter here. They can grab a jungle pick here with this Varus instead, like the Jarvan, which will then deny the Sivir pick here to counter in the bottom lane. We saw this exact rotation yesterday. Instead, they opt for the Pantheon, though, taking that away from the global mid lane of the Rise.
And I think, you know, if you pick up Pantheon, you maybe just go for Taliyah. In this case, we saw a lot of Rise Taliyah going head-to-head, especially early on in LCK Cup, and Taliyah Pantheon is one of the best mid-jungle duos that we do have. Rise himself, extremely powerful. Even Rise Pantheon, also extremely powerful, so they didn't want to give that over. But it does mean now that GENG have an opportunity to just go ahead and blind pick Gwen early on in this one.
I'm surprised by that, to be honest. And they'll take the Jarvan themselves to remove a Pantheon flex as well. I think in this scenario feels pretty good. As now I think that Sivir probably has to be banned. If you have Sivir, Rise, and a Gwen, the wave clear is insane on this this composition, as well as its insane damage output later on. Spell Shield great into Varus. The Taliyah you mentioned will be the consideration. I have to be honest with you though, Valdez. In a situation like this where you are playing into Rise and Gwen, I don't know if the global impact, even with these two, you know, the Pantheon Taliyah is going to be that high because you're not going to be able to control the side lanes to then play through them as well as you would like. Sure, the point-and-click stun for the Pantheon, the setup for the shove is absolutely there. You have Chains of Corruption as well. But when we think about the greater macro map, that's where I get a little bit more concerned. I think the bans here for BNK will likely be the Ezreal and the Sivir.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good idea. I think especially when you're going up against GENG, you have to always consider, you know, what your global composition is going to be able to do. So I think that's a really good point because GENG, right now especially, definitely our best macro team here at the LCK. It's part of the reason why they are so good at winning, as obviously it's a pretty big part of the game. Karma going to be taken away, so no Varus Karma in this one.
It's a really big hint that they're looking for a very strong scaling pick here, though, that will prefer to be able to get through this lane without too many hiccups. Could still be the Corki that Ruler has found so much success on, which works well with their draft and has a strong 2-item spike. I think this feels like it has to be a Sivir ban, though. Instead, with this Gwen and the front line of the Jarvan, they're more concerned about the Jhin. A little bit surprised to see that, although I do think the Jhin works well here. Just a little bit tougher into the Pantheon and the Taliyah if you lose map control.
And we see a lot of lane picks of Jhin just to deal with the range of the Varus in the bottom side, and you know, already a decent amount of damage on the top side of the map for the side of GENG, so it seems like that was the angle, but
GENG have decided they're just going to give Clear whatever he wants here. They're that confident and keen with this blind Gwen. Not only do they blind it, but they protect it 0. They do nothing for Keen. It doesn't matter if he's going to play R into this. Doesn't matter if he's going to play Jax into this. No matter what he wants to do, if he plays Aurora into this, we don't care. We think Keen is just good enough, and they'll give the Gnar over just straight up. And now I do think
kind of
in
agree,
isolation, in straight up isolation, I think Clear deserves a lot of respect. He had a great series yesterday. He can generate a lead here. I think this is a very risky choice by GENG, but I think we have to highlight the confidence. And this, to me, was the most no-brain choice here in the bottom lane that GENG could have gone for. We've mentioned it several times. It's insane. Think about this. You have Sivir, Ryze, and Gwen. If you get grubs in this game, and you're GENG, so you're likely to be ahead in the mid game, and they get Bard as well,
Oh boy.
Oh, no, no, no! That's not allowed!
Yeah, and even if they don't get grubs, even if they fall like 10K behind, like how do you push into this team? I don't really see it. I mean, yes, the Varus, the Taliyah will help, but as you mentioned earlier on, like the wave clear is just disgusting. And now they're thinking about the Rel here, which will provide quite a lot of engage, and reliable one at that, but they are going to switch over to Rakan. A little bit more mobile on the pick.
I like the Rakan here. Can also be good into the Gwen front line if you could try to pick her off first. But you're playing Lethality Varus in this draft. Clear has such a huge responsibility in this game. He's the only one who has a strong direct counter pick to what his opponents have put together here. The blind Gwen that was not protected. If he can generate a lead there, push Keen behind, if they can play through that top lane a little bit, try to just play through the Varus range and stay stable down there. I do think that in team fights later on, there's enough engage here, there's enough tools to break through what is otherwise an insane triple threat composition. But remember, in every single fight, in every single setup, one tempered fate can ruin everything you're trying to do, which is why I like the Rakan more than the Rel, because it allows you to try to circumvent that and play around it. But man, we've talked about draft a lot in these last few best of fives, and to me, there is a very clear winner between these two teams. And they're GENG.
Yeah, I think, you know, GENG, always fantastic at drafting. I will say that what BNK got, it does feel very BNK, and they have very obvious win conditions of their own. But, you know, we always have to, there's always that disclaimer of like, well, you have to look at the other side, right? And in terms of who won, I would agree, because also this draft here for GENG is very GENG. I think there's a lot of comfort for them, and they should be able to play it really easily. It's also the Jarvan that Canyon stole 2 objectives with a flag with in game number 1. As we are ready, guys, the top of the rift to begin our grand finals.
Minions have spawned.
They're doing it, Wolf.
They did. They did do the fan chants.
Yeah. Well, they got it out this time. You know, it wasn't perfect, but we're getting better every day, every game. Sure. We're getting better at the fan chants.
Again, difficult to coordinate with 10,000 people.
Yes.
And with no clear fan leader. You know, that's a system it took a long time to build in the StarCraft days. Mm-hmm. We're just not quite there yet here, but I think you can respect the attempt as well as the passion for knowing that it's the right thing to do, because these are LCK fans, true and true, every single person in this arena. Yeah, even the Cantonese language casters are waiting. You know, they're like, no, this is what we do at the LCK. Even though it's here in Hong Kong, it's really awesome to see. And, you know, in terms of BNK, you know, we did see 4 predictions going the way of BNK, and you know, on paper, GENG should be heavily favored coming into this one, and they are. You know, fan predictions were also like 75-25. We had 10 of us going for GENG. You know, even some 3-0s in there. As level 2 is going to be hit here, and have to heal to get away. But the one thing I will say about BNK is that their form looks fantastic based on what we saw yesterday, and I think that's the most important thing when you're coming into big best of 5s in front of a giant crowd, to make sure that, you know, they're on form, because obviously if you look at DK, it was the very opposite, and that's part of why yesterday was so one-sided. Yeah. Bad draft reads, but individual performances were not really there. And I think only one player I could really say I was worried about the performance of yesterday was Vikla, and he didn't even have a bad day, but he had some unusual moments. You know, and there were reports going around that he was not in good condition. Take that as you will. Hopefully he's doing better today. But at the end of the day, it's about how you play your draft in League of Legends at this high level when you get to the end of the tournament, where we are looking at the best 2 performing teams here in best of 5s. Yeah. So sometimes form on the day can wash away all the stats, all of what we talked about before. The last year winless LCK Cup feels so far away here for BNK. They've never been this close to lifting a domestic title. And all it takes is 3 wins. We've had a relatively quiet early game here. Pryo going to the Silver Bard lane. And otherwise, things shaping up exactly as you would expect. We see Canyon is pathing down towards the bottom side of the jungle, though.
Ruler just running through Rakan and saying, I am going to attack this Varus. Didn't exactly work out for him, but they are going to push the wave and back. Ruler mentioning how the later it gets in the tournament, the bigger the stage, the colder it gets. And he's going to show BNK and Diablo what it's like to feel that. Really highlighting their lack of experience. But here comes the Jarvan. And now we got Diablo in a lot of trouble. And the flash forward from Canyon picks up the first blood just like that.
They were prepared for this possibility. They had the ward. Kellen misses the knockup. And the flash comes through from Canyon. And that is that. The punish of the punish. They thought they were going to get the punish there on the overextension of Ruler. Try to deny his backs. And instead, it's Canyon who comes over here and picks up first blood for GENG. It's not the first time we've seen this guy take an early trip to the bottom lane on the Jarvan and pick up a big W. We'll watch this one again in a moment. But that ward was so valuable for BNK. They did their due diligence.
Yeah.
But sadly, it is just not enough.
Yeah, I mean, the timing was actually perfect here.
Look at
from Canyon.
The ward that they have. They push forward. They know they have that vision. Canyon waits, like you said, the timing is perfect. He sees his angle. He's like, okay, they're too far up. And then this here from Kellen, if he hits this knockup, then obviously there's a lot more play here. But it's flashed by Canyon. He gets the kill. And meanwhile, Vikla, who is teleportless, is ghosting back to lane with a few minions.
It's just a really good read from Canyon that he knows, you know, if he cannot get knocked up, it's a free kill. And so he just expends his flash in the perfect timing to make sure he does get away. We've seen a lot of the top lane, you know, trying to see if Clear can actually push this Gwen out of the lane. The blind Gwen that was picked early and not even banned for, not protected at all. I'm also very curious to see what's going to happen here in the top lane, as we do have level 6 hit by Clear, but no kill pressure just yet, as Keen also hits 6.
Yeah, they're just pressing all of his buttons to try to get the best trade here possible. The bottom side of the map, a lot of Pryo actually going over to BNK, and Vikla does have mid control. So they're going to look to scrap for it, though, GENG. We'll see if the Weaver's Wall can be placed here to deny.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can come in here, as Kellen going to try to engage. Canyon trying to get into the pit, and he will. It will come down to just a flip, and it goes to Canyon on top of the kill on a Raptor, and Diablo nowhere to go. He is going to flash the wall and immediately die, and GENG is already rolling BNK in this first game. So we do see Kellen flash away just to eventually die to Ruler, who picks up the kill, and it's already almost 2,000 gold and the dragon to GENG.
Not a single player outside of Clear for BNK has flash after that fight as well. Everyone expending their flashes. Chovy has to follow flash over the wall to get the kill onto Diablo. But I think when you're playing a lethal tempo Varus in this game, which you did go for, we didn't mention that earlier, I think is actually the right call. Much better than the lethality for how this draft is going to play out. That's a huge flash to lose. As Raptor goes in here, Canyon is just so mobile. He's able to buffer the stun, and everyone tries to collapse onto him. Not only are they unable to burst him down, but he secures the smite. And Diablo gets the kill on him, but it's just consolation here, as Chovy still has ultimate who they could follow. Vikla, who forces his ult out, and Kellen is just isolated here. Ruler picks up the kill. This is a disaster for BNK, with a draft that's already so difficult to pull off from behind into the insane wave clear GENG have.
Yeah.
The only way this gets worse is if GENG pick up all 3 grubs in 70 seconds time.
Which I think is not going to be surprising anymore, you know. Canyon's going to get his flash first back because he used it earlier on in the gank in bottom lane. And look at where all the money went. We have a kill onto Chovy, we have 2 onto Ruler, and 1 onto Canyon. So all the money's going to the perfect people outside of the Gwen, who wasn't even there, right? So all your carries are getting fed. They're going to scale up much quicker. You're not going to have to worry about, you know, hitting a power trough while, you know, the Taliyah Pantheon and the Varus are doing a number before you're quite ready. If you're already ahead like this, and Canyon has made his presence felt already.
I think the frustrating thing for BNK, and partially why they decided to commit there, speaking of commitment.
Oh, we got a Pantheon coming on in, as that is going to be Tempered Fate used, but Duro, there is nowhere for him to go, and he doesn't even flash, accepts his death.
So that's a big Tempered Fate to help Ruler get out, but it is not going to save his life. As Ruler didn't have flash there, but he could just walk it off. We're going to have a bit of an ult here for Clear. But going back to the Dragon fight, I think the reason why B&K committed so heavily is because they had Prio, they had control, they had the Weaver's Wall, and yet still couldn't fight their way out of it. Does scare you in terms of implications for what other future fights could look like. Skeen does have his ultimate at the ready. Clear has to be very respectful here as he did not do enough damage. Sitting on a Cull and
he's kind of hanging out like desperately trying to get the wave in a good spot, but instead he just has to back. So yeah, the Gnar answer so far not feeling too good.
It started well, right?
Yeah.
But at this moment in time, you know, he does have just the Cull and the Merc Treads. A little bit of health he picked up on this final back here. It's going to be a little bit easier for Keen to take those trades, but the play was great from Keen. He used the wave aggressively once the Gnar was gone. And he can bounce back here for sure, and we'll be able to farm well as long as nothing else disastrously occurs there on the top side. Speaking of the grubs we talked about earlier, it's time. They have spawned here. TP going to come in from Duro. They are ready to fight for this.
Yeah, and again, like I mentioned before, Canyon has flash advantage here on his jungle counterpart. Kellen is here, but TP's coming from both supports. Canyon trying to get on top of this grub, or rather the Scuttle Crab, and he actually does smite it as he flag drags away. So now that's going to be even better spot for them, for GENG in this river.
And Canyon keeps putting himself in dangerous positions, and BAK want to chase, they want to catch him, but he's Jarvan. He's like, I'm out of here. I got flash up, by the way.
Late too. I mean, like Diablo's going mid, but he's not. He's not going to be here on time. Nice smite here from Raptor, but yeah, at least they are trying to deny. As yeah, he just takes the 2, and now GENG have 2 of the grubs.
Incredible play here from Canyon in this first game. From the early gank, the pressure he's had on these objectives, the secures, the baiting. It has been a master class. And that was one of the big matchups that we were most excited for. And even yesterday, Raptor versus Lucid, we thought was going to potentially be a deciding factor. Raptor picked up player of the match. But so far, Canyon is definitely getting the better of this Pantheon in this draft with the Jarvan pick. And with the leads we have now everywhere on the map here for GENG, they're poised to potentially set up for second Dragon here, because that wave clear, it's already going to start hitting.
All right.
Let's see if Keen gets potentially caught.
Yeah, not on vision here is Raptor. No Mega Gnar though, so maybe gonna wait for that. No, just gonna hop on forward and look to bait him into this fight as the needles will come out. Flash forward from Raptor, just trying to burst him down, and the shield comes up right at the perfect time. Clear secures the kill.
And Keen, I think, did not react right away when he saw the hop come through. He was like, this seems like a bait. I don't believe this. I don't trust this. But in fact, Raptor was there. Didn't have to use his ultimate either. So actually still has his ult, and now Sundered Sky to come over here and contest the Dragon. It's a thin margin. Maybe he can get here in time.
I think
Doesn't look likely.
Yeah, a little bit too late. And they have Bard as well, so they just, yeah. They just all do that. Magical Journey over the wall, and it's a free one. And Infernal Soul comes in, and GENG have Double Dragon.
They have Double Dragon with Infernal Soul on the way with Ryze and Sivir.
And
It does seem favorable.
All right, TP comes out just to survive.
That's not a win for Clear. It's less of a loss. He will be able to escape at least. And it does feel like Canyon is Jack Sparrow in this game, with how B&K are trying to punish him, trying to catch him, trying to make sure this Jarvan can't get out. He just gets out every time, with the exception of the death in the bottom lane, which was absolutely worth it. And what B&K get in exchange is a residual Scuttle Crab.
Yeah. Bit of a consolation prize, it feels like. And yes, Clear got the kill. He's ahead on gold, a very nice amount, 600. But this is Gnar we're talking about. It's not like a hyper-scaling pick. It can take over games, but you know, it's a lot of pressure on Clear as a Gnar to deal with a Ryze and a Sivir as this game comes along. I
do think that if he can maintain this lead, and he has a call to cash in soon, he's going to be a big problem that GENG will have to commit a lot of resources for. But luckily for GENG, they have a Ryze. That makes it a lot easier. If it was just Gwen trying to deal with this straight up with a Jarvan, with a Pantheon on the other side, this Gnar becomes a lot more difficult to deal with because of the global presence there, but they can match that to a certain extent with Ryze. Bit of a 2v2 here. I don't think it will really amount to much, but Diablo can get some of that damage through. It doesn't hit as hard as it would if it were a, you know, Yorumu's in his inventory right now, but he does have the Blade of the Ruined King, which is a big spike for him. He can fight a scrappy skirmish here around this Herald, for example. B&K could get right back in this game.
They want to dive the Gwen, it looks like.
This is a really risky choice. I don't think
not going to do it. I saw like 5 pings, and I'm like, really? Are they going to do that? That's crazy. I mean, Keen also has his flash, so... And there was not even Meganar, so... Just a bunch of pings.
They do opt out, which is wise. Let's see what they do for this Herald, though, because it's not about their ability to team fight straight up 5v5. We know that the pick potential is there. We know this Varus is going to have decent damage output if there's any sort of setup from the Gnar or from the Pantheon. It's about getting to the objective and having that fair fight. Because with this wave clear for GENG, it doesn't feel like you're ever going to have said fair fight. As Clear's in trouble.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the stun down, but it's not quite going to land. The slows do come in. That's going to be the end of that.
Duro cleansing, I believe, with Unsealed there, which was very funny. Diablo's going to get some money on the other side of the map. So this is not a net loss necessarily here for BNK. But where is that setup going to be? Like, Keen is getting so much done already here as Vikla tries to surf his way over. And there needs to be a strong fight here for BNK. If they just simply give this Herald up, then GENG gets so much more control with the damage they've already done. This is ambitious.
Yeah, I mean, Keen can try to kite this one out, and the second the seismic shove misses, that's the end of that. I mean, this early on, the wall isn't going to do all too much, and he'll have it back for the Drake, so it's fine, but
what about the Herald?
Yeah. Not sure about that one. Maybe they don't want to fight for it. We do have a lot of plates that are traded back and forth. I saw a couple going to Keen.
This might be the best fight BNK gets the rest of this game. They have the better group up. Clear does not have teleport, but neither does Keen. This 4v4 scrap could be the best chance they have to win a team fight here with some pick and get themselves back in it. Because I think if they simply do not get that, that does not happen. Or if they lose the fight, it's even, you know, the door is really closed on this one. And GENG know that this is a fight that's somewhat favorable for BNK despite their lead, and they're just not going to walk straight into it. Herald hasn't spawned yet. They actually play this safe. They clear the vision. And it's actually BNK who has to relinquish control. They were a bit too early on the setup, and GENG just play it out patiently. And now the tables have turned completely. Clear's teleport is coming back.
Bit of a stun here on a Duro, trying to, okay, that was kind of strange, but Vikla does dodge it, and now Duro in a really weird spot, just gonna go down, and Vikla essentially outplays him, and the Rift Herald has to be stopped.
Yeah, it was a really cool attempt there from Duro. I really like the idea. Unfortunately, a bit of a mis-execute, just gets outplayed by Vikla. And that's a dead Bard right before this Rift Herald. So that fight I was talking about, they don't win a swimming lead in terms of gold off of it, but they put a dent in it and they grab the Herald essentially for free. There's a lot of momentum back into the hands here of BNK.
Do see a bit of an all-in here from Keen as the Needle's going on in, wants to get that snip, and eventually does a nice amount of damage. But Rift Herald still goes over.
Canyon's here because they know that the Herald's being done. They know that Raptor isn't here, but he's coming over relatively quickly. Does have his ultimate, so I think committing here could be a bit of an issue for GENG, especially with the mid lane prio that Diablo currently holds, and they will decide to back away. Clear survives, he's got his Narbar set for this Dragon, and BNK, just off of that Duro pick alone, might be able to get back-to-back objectives here, and it looks like they will.
Yeah, and their comp right now, quite strong, especially with the Fed Gnar that comes over with the Mega Gnar. Goes down to 1, kind of funny there, but they do get the first Infernal Drake, going to be pretty huge for getting a stepping stone into this mid game where their comp is just so strong before GENG's really scales up. Keeping it very close, and honestly, you know, BNK, if they keep this up, could absolutely come back in this game.
The truth, Valdez, for me, how I feel about this game is, I mean, obviously this was the, you know, magical journey attempt to try to link up, and then obviously Chovy comes through, they get the pick on the Vikla, but he does avoid the Tempered Fate. Duro gets hit by it, and it's a very funny situation for the fans watching. And unfortunately, this is a big win for BNK, but that leads to Herald, that leads to Dragon. But what I was going to say is the fact that with these comps, they're keeping this game even. They look like they are just straight up equals with GENG in terms of what this game is looking like thus far, despite the deficit, which is even arguably more impressive. It's a good sign here for BNK. Let's see what happens, though, as we move forward further and further into this game. Like you said, with a scaling draft that you and I vastly prefer here for GENG. As we are going to see a group up top side here. Raptor does have his ult. They want this turret, but I don't think they get it on this wave, and they back away.
They did look at him for about a split second menacingly, and then walked that one off.
The power of the Pantheon. The Pantheon's 0, 1, and 3 in this game, but the fact that he exists means that they just have to opt out of a lot of these attempts they're looking for. They're like, just not safe enough.
Yeah, if he's ever there, it's just over. Vikla again, just dodging, and the stun not going to land, but Keen is on the chase, and the needles have landed. Flashes over that one, but Vikla is at least able to flash back over the wall and get away. Nicely played from him to get out of sticky situations.
Cross maps, I'm going to get this turret, it looks like, here. They do have to expend the Rift Herald for it, so pretty expensive, but in terms of gold, they pulled ahead into the gold lead here, BNK do. The first brick, as you say. This is a big win on the other side of the map after Vikla's really cool escape. The second time he sidesteps the Tempered Fate back-to-back from Duro.
Yeah, we did see after that play that Keen was trying to push into the bottom lane, probably picked up some more plates, but he's still 1,100 gold behind Clear, who got a bunch of the money up in top lane from the first turret going down. So the blind Gwen, we were like, oh, not sure about this, and then we were like, oh no, it's Keen, he's doing great. But now we're like,
Just haven't been given enough resources, and when the Pantheon is missing, it's hard to commit heavily if you're Canyon in these scenarios.
Yeah.
So BNK holding on to map control, holding on to a gold lead here. That is almost entirely Gnar. I say that, they have dropped back down to a small deficit. They were holding it for a moment. The game doesn't feel even though, because this lead for GENG is still there. They have a double dragon advantage, and they have the scaling composition. The IE is already done for Ruler. I think given these drafts, and the fact that he has Cleanse and Spell Shield, as well as his Flash available, you know, he doesn't need to really build anything else. He just goes straight to IE, and he's like, I'm already basically on my way to becoming the highest damage dealer in this game. And Chovy will have something to say about it when he gets his Actualizer, but for now, he won't be quite doing the same amount of damage. He's halfway through his Rod of Ages. BNK need to somehow utilize this Gnar to push side lanes and play through it with Raptor. And they need to be able to do that either aggressively on the opposite side of spawning objectives so that they can then pull GENG around the map, or do on the same side and try to turn those picks into a Baron take, for example. Easier said than done with this draft, but they do have the tools.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And you see that this game has, I was going to say slowed down, but now Vikla in a lot of trouble. Just getting run at, sprinted at by Chovy. Raptor doing a number here to Duro, and now the rest of the team has shown up. So a couple of kills going each way. Looks like Chovy and Diablo picking up one apiece. And now we got Diablo in a bit of trouble. He is going to have to flash out of this one. Gets over the wall, and now the Pantheon's coming in. Canyon get low, gets taken out. Diablo steps up and immediately dies. Double kill comes in for Ruler, who is just shredding them apart. Clear alone now as the damage too much from the GENG composition. Clear, he's probably going to get away from this one, but it's still a good fight for GENG.
Seems so much like this game has felt like BNK are trying to say, our hands diff will beat the stat check, but GENG are giving him a bit of a reality check, and this one is Clear. Is trying to defend this turret. It is ramping hard, and it will be successful, but that last fight, you know, again, Vikla, this time he doesn't have Flash when he's caught, but they have the Pantheon nearby, and they have mid-prio. So initially it's kind of like, GENG, have you made a mistake here? The shield on the Vikla buys so much time. Duro takes an insane amount of damage, and this doesn't save him because of the timing here on this shot from Diablo. And from this point on, you think, okay, they should have enough control. They kind of get split, though. The Pantheon goes to deal with the bottom side wave. Ults back in is very late. They do get the kill onto Canyon, but they just do not have anywhere near the damage output that Ruler and Chovy have here. Now, we're in mid-game. This isn't even the late-game Silver Rise. This is pre-actualizer.
Yeah, and take a look at the score lines here for GENG. We're not going to have time for that, though. As the Dragon getting low. Raptor in a lot of trouble. Going to have to put up the shield and evacuate the pit as that Infernal Drake does go over to GENG. Not much hope here for BNK. They're like, oh, maybe we can take a fight with Mega Gnar. Nope, GENG are already out.
This is, it really felt like for a while, maybe BNK could prove that mechanically with the hands, right? That there were some moments, there's some outplays that could turn this draft on its head. Diablo went against the grain of the meta, went for the lethal tempo here, is going on hit, which I really like here. And you can see he's playing it incredibly well. But there are so many limitations to what you could do with this draft, and now GENG really just hold all the cards. Every single upcoming Dragon fight could be game losing for BNK if they don't opt in. And even if they get map control and they have a favorable setup, GENG can opt out. And with this much wave clear, like we've been talking about, I don't know if there's ever going to be a prio favorable situation for BNK for the rest of this game.
Yeah, I think especially eventually once, you know, Keen gets a couple more items and can match clear a little bit better on this Gwen, you're really going to be struggling. I mean, there's nothing really that Vikla can do into the Rise except clear the waves himself.
I mean, just look at the mini-map outside of where clear is.
Trying to make a play here onto the Gwen. You see the stun, the wallop does come down. Raptor is here. It's a bunch of damage into Keen already, but the needles are coming out. He has to flash away.
Baron. It's Baron.
Yeah.
GENG.
They're trying to dive Keen here, but this is a distraction from the real win. As look at this Baron. And it's already down to 7,000. They have insane amounts of damage with the Sivir and the Rise.
Just cannot do anything here. Diablo's already opted out. He's just pushing mid. The Baron goes over. And this felt so obvious. The Rise has topside control. The mid prio is there for the Sivir. And so BNK just said, well, there's only one play we can make. We can try to further our lead. The one lead we had, the Gnar, push Keen out. They're successful in that, but the cost is just too damn high, Valdez. As look at the minimap here. Look at the prio. Look at where Diablo is standing. Look at where Vikla is. There's no one anywhere near the Baron, so you have to kill Keen faster here, quickly enough to then be able to turn and deny the Baron. And if you were able to do this without using the Pantheon ultimate, maybe he could rotate in. But Keen just lives long enough to where this is never going to be favorable for BNK. They get more money on this Gnar, but I think that alone is not going to be enough here.
Yeah, it's absolutely not going to be. I mean, we have 3 items already on the Sivir with the Flicker Blades. That's a knockback on a Canyon who has been so tanky and so survivable. They finally take him out in this scenario. As now the Mikhails comes in on a Raptor. Tons of damage comes out from Chovy. And the disengage cone does get them to safety.
And the Gnar is pushing with teleport.
Walls coming down. I mean, trying to catch Ruler here, but it's a Sivir. I mean, this is not going to work. As they're desperately trying to get the picks going, and now we got a TP coming in. But they are moving forward. The knockback this time on a Ruler is big, and Raptor's tanking in the front line. But it's really just a kiting battle, and Clear is pretty gigantic on this Gnar. He wants to push forward, and he is on the hunt. Look at this guy, little mini Gnar, just sprinting at them, but he's kind of alone, taking a bunch of damage from Ruler now. As Chovy on the chase, flashes forward, gets the kill on a Vikla, and now Clear in the backline can't do enough by himself, gets the Gnar.
Raptor's ult's coming up,
and that's about it. And Diablo and Kellen on the backside here, just being hounded down by Chovy, who is getting free money. The double kill comes in, and GENG get a massive fight.
And Chovy, with this flash play in this fight, says that he too can hands check this team. BNK had their angle, they had their moment. They commit to the Gnar play. They don't sit him in sides. They know that if they just let GENG play through this Baron, they are just never going to be able to have an even or fair trade. So they go for the all-in fight, the Hail Mary. But GENG do not fall apart. They respond well. When you look at this fight, this setup here on the Canyon, he's caught instantly, and there isn't a big response initially from GENG, but finally Chovy comes through. Look at where Clear is on the minimap. He could have opted to then just say, all right, look, we trade here, we're going to push that turret, I'm going to get a bunch of money, I'm already ahead. Instead, they think that GENG are split enough. With the Rise on the right side there and the Weaver's Wall, they can burst Ruler down, but he's Sivir. He's basically full health after their gambit. Look at the health of Vikla and Raptor. Keen is so big, even with the deficit over the Gnar, he can do so much alone to buy space for Ruler. Ruler's low health now. We can just clear this wave and not care. In live, we are going to have a bit of a scuffle here once again. But Chovy's play in this fight here is Clear chases the right side as really the backbreaker. Flashes in, gets the root onto Vikla, has the arm guard. He's had it for a while this game, but hasn't had any reason to use it. And it gets insane value here. The Gnar is eventually kited down, and that's the end of this story.
For me, it's the Q flash extension from Chovy. That's insane. They're trying to get the charm on Akeem, but look at Diablo. He's just dead. He's already dead. They had to try to fight for the Infernal, and this is what it looks like when you try. At this point in the game against GENG, they will massacre you. Double kill goes the way of Keen. And I think it's all done but the crying here in game number 1, Wolf. GENG just too far ahead. Chovy nearly legendary, not a single death on this guy. And 5-0 and 6 for Ruler as they push to try to end game 1.
Maybe the Gwen that they gave no draft resources to got countered by the Gnar, but it just doesn't matter when you have triple threats, 2 of the 3 deathless until this very moment. They are going to do way too much damage. We were worried about the wave clear, we were worried about the scaling damage, but this game didn't even crack 30 minutes, and GENG taking a decisive first win in this series.
If you're a GENG fan and you know on paper they are the better team, this is exactly what you wanted to see in game 1. Really no punches pulled. They get the first blood, they scale up real quick, and they just outplay them at every turn. They outdraft him, in our opinions, right? It seemed pretty obvious there, and BNK were just never able to put 2 and 2 together in some of those skirmishes, some of those team fights. GENG just looking a lot more composed to start off this best of 5.
In some ways, the way that they played this game and how Diablo tried to play in the aggressive plays from Vikla and side lanes made it feel like BNK said, you know what, like scissors can if we just do it right, cut through rock in this game. Like they were trying to out-mechanic, they were trying to win this game just by their raw individual skills. But if you look at the names on the other side, that can only get you so far. When you look at the draft on the other side, it seemed like it was going to be potentially a bridge too far, Valdez. I do think there were some good moments here for BNK, though. There were some signs of life. I do not think we are going to have the same one-sided series we saw yesterday.
I don't know, Wolf. I really hope that BNK do come back with flying colors and they keep trying. That's the one thing I love about BNK is they never give up, and they shouldn't just yet. But still, GENG start off really strong in this best of 5, taking game 1 with flying colors, and we'll see you after the break for game 2.
나 텔 없잖아.
쏠게.
오케이.
나 괜찮아.
공 떨궈서.
나 봐줘.
괜찮아.
라칸. 야, 끝내라.
아, 탈려.
탈려, 노플이야.
탈려.
아 뒤에도 있거든 뒤에 있거든.
야, 판대 보자. 판대 노플이야, 형.
야, 미드 간다.
판테온 달리기 선수야. 그러니까 말 안 된다. 우사인 보였어. 나 미카엘도 있어. 얘 다 노플이야, 쟤네.
아래 미니고.
둘 노플. 예, 둘 다.
사우스 돼.
판테 높어.
미카엘 좋은데? 아,
내가 나 그냥 타워 칠게.
타워치면 끝나. 나이스요. 네, 다들 잼들.
But bit of a rough start in this series thus far. First pick is theirs. They'll take away the Aurora, interestingly, right off the bat.
Yeah.
With Gnar gone, Clear's Renekton stocks go up quite significantly. I don't know if that's first pickable in this scenario, but something to consider here for sure.
Yeah, Aurora always a good ban against GENG as well because Keen plays it so often, and obviously it can be flexed between mid and top. So just a good idea, but could mean that he plays something that's melee that he doesn't want to have to deal with Keen's Aurora eventually. Also going to ban away the Vi, even after the Rumble ban. Still not willing to let that one go over.
I'm now wondering if Diablo is interested in a first pick Yunara here in this second game. Karma is taken away again, as that does really shoot the Lulu stocks priority there through the roof in this scenario in game 2. If they don't ban the Yunara, I think they're hoping to pick it here, or at least force a ban from GENG. A lot of thought going into this one. The Orianna, obviously a really strong contender for that first pick position as well. This moment in time with Nocturne also available. Don't want to give that over to GENG when they have 2 picks. As they will ban the Nautilus. I think they want that Yunara first pick.
Yeah, it appears so. But now you just leave Orianna up. And Chovy says, okay, are you really going to give me Orianna? And the answer will probably be yes. Which is not very good for BNK.
They could just ban like anything here, really, and feel pretty good about it. Xin Zhao, a tank in the top lane. They'll ban the Yunara ultimately. Wow. Avikla should be able to pick up the Orianna here. That's a lot of respect shown to Diablo.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is, when you see that right there, that is a statement from GENG. And I think Orianna's incredibly strong. We could get Orianna Nocturne, but I am just not going to deal with Diablo's Yunara in this situation. I'm not going to allow it, no matter what. Even with a heavy cost, just make that choice. That is a lot of respect.
Yeah, I mean, Rilla could have easily said, it's okay, I can deal with this. Instead, they just ban it away, and it's kind of crazy that they do.
And with no Karma and no Yunara, looks like they're just deciding, you may have the hottest mid laner on the patch, but we've got the hottest bottom lane duo. That is, there's no lane that you can play that can deal with this well. Now, we have seen Yuumi neutralize this a little bit. So will we see the Ezreal Yuumi here with the Orianna setup on the side of BNK? Doesn't really spell a strong Orianna composition out the gates. But they'll get the Nocturne instead. I prefer this than trying to just slam the Yuumi right now.
Yeah.
Because this is just so much more robust of a combo. I think you're going to have to sack bottom lane. And ooh, they even get the Renekton on top of it. I think they didn't fall into the trap that a lot of other teams would have in this rotation.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, now obviously mid jungle very strong for the side of BNK, but bottom lane is just incredible for GENG. And you know, Chovy's going to put a lot of thought into what he wants to play here. It has to be something that can somewhat survive against this, and he's considering the Galio.
They could also just go for Mundo and look for something else later on. Instead, they will grab the Galio. Really strong. Any sort of frontliner that can take a lot of hits is always going to feel great when you have the Seraphine Ashe. You can set up any sort of CC like taunt, the arrow comes through. And then if you can get a taunt to set up the encore, that's amazing. But just your body alone will extend the range of the ultimate. The Nico will get banned away here. One of the only ranged champions left that could potentially help a lane go toe-to-toe with this Ashe Seraphine. And I expect we'll probably just see a Yuumi ban in that final spot as well. What else they would like to take away?
Yeah, I mean, when you go down the list, you know, there's Yuumi, there's Lulu. If you want to try to play a melee support into it, we did see Nautilus. I think that was yesterday. Didn't really work out. But it's just going to be the Zeri instead.
Zeri, Yuumi, all-ins we've seen find great success. Pays proved this already. You flash the arrow or you flash the encore and look for the all-in timing. It is very strong. So the question becomes now, what does Diablo and Kellen want to play in this bottom lane? Because the Ezreal Yuumi is strong in its own right, but doesn't necessarily suit their composition. They'll at least have a little bit more information before they have to make that choice here of what the jungle or the top lane is going to look like and how much frontline the Ezreal might have to cut through in this draft. The Xin Zhao and the Wukong were great bans. We've really thinned out the pool significantly here for Canyon. And it looks like he's going to opt for this Ambessa, but the great part is it's still technically flexible.
Yeah, still technically. Just depending on what they see in terms of the whole comp, but generally not wanting to put the Ambessa against the Renekton. But he could. I mean, Keen as well blind picked the Gwen and was fine with that. So let's see what we see in the bot lane.
Ezreal Yuumi, some sort of Lucian lane sounds almost suicidal. Going for the Kalista into Ashe Seraphine is one of the boldest choices I think you could ever make.
Yeah. Well, it's Kalista Renata. If you're going to pick Kalista, you're picking Renata, right?
This does weaken a Kennen pick, because I thought maybe they would consider the Kennen here into the Renekton, because they also don't have really the magic damage in this draft right now. And Kennen really struggles into this. Zahin Similar story, frankly, and it's going to have a little bit of a tough time in the early lane. And with the Ambessa, into Renata and Kalista, which is relatively difficult to dive, there isn't as much agency here for Canyon in the bottom lane through that Prio. Vikla, if he can get Prio in the mid lane, they can play through that Nocturne post 6. I don't like the bottom 2v2 matchup. I think we will all agree on that. Diablo is going to have to show us something that we've never seen before, and Kellen will have to hit some amazing handshakes. They're going to have to dodge everything from Duro in order to make this work, but maybe they'll just sit under turret and then look for a mid-game power spike instead through bailout. I do think, and maybe this would be controversial to say, but I like this draft for BNK versus GenG's better than I like the ratio in Game 1. In Game 1, it felt completely unplayable to me. In this game, I think there are certainly some angles, and there's, once again, a lot of comfort here for these players on these picks on the BNK side.
What I will say is that Orianna Nocturne can absolutely make Seraphine's life hell, you know, just blow her up before she's really able to do anything. But if you don't get the combo off and everybody's like melee range into Seraphine Ashe, you just lose. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel very good to me, Wolf. And it does feel like one thing is clear, not just the top laner of BNK, but that GenG's drafting is on point today. And I think they have done a great job. We'll see if they can make it happen once again in the gameplay as we hop into the Rift for game number 2.
Minions have spawned.
All right, Valdez, here we go. Game 2. Jovi's Galio, drafted early. Great new skin. It is going to be a tough game for BNK with this draft, but they have tools. They have the global of the Nocturne. Like you mentioned, it's very easy to kill Seraphine with this pick and the setup they have. But in a lot of ways, it feels like whether it's Seraphine or anybody else, in order to win team fights, they will have to win them 5v4 at worst case scenario, with the combo eliminating someone essentially out of the fight. So then Diablo can get bailed out, and then they can continue the fight from there, because you're playing into Ashe slows, you're playing into Taunt from Chovy, you're playing into Zahin, who will likely have a second life as well in most of these team fights, and the Seraphine roots and charm as Kalista. When you think about Kalista, you think about almost like a Beyblade, a spinning top that's flying through a team fight, loves to be up in close and personal and melee into a lot of champions, basically just be constantly doing that damage output. The problem is there's so many ways to stop the top from spinning in this draft here for GenG. And that's what I'm most concerned about for how this is going to work outside of lane, where obviously we're going to have some serious issues here in the 2v2.
Yeah, the 2v2, it is what it is. It's Ashe, Seraphine. BNK know what they're getting themselves into. They say, well, we're never going to win the lane with what's available, so we're just going to pick this and play for outside the lane. Mid lane early on for Chovy is going to be very annoying as Orianna. This is what she does pretty much everybody, is not really allow you to have all that much fun, chunks you out for relatively low mana costs, and can make your life very miserable. But eventually you get some tank items, you know, can go hollowed. Radiance. That's what I was looking for. And then go into a bunch of armor or even into AP and just clear waves instantly.
I think in this game he'll probably go for the Riftmaker second. But we will see. And it's been pretty common in drafts like this that they'll have a ton of damage instead of one particular carry, which will be the Ashe in this game. CC is how you win the game as GenG, and they have a lot of it. Canyon is lurking in this brush. I don't know if he's going to like what he sees.
Yeah, the pings came down. They saw Canyon go into the bush, and so he was just looking to kite it out. Some wards get placed down here. They know exactly where Raptor is, so we'll see if our bottom laners, Ruler and Duro, are expecting the gank to come in, because they're pretty far up the lane. They're keeping Diablo and Kellen at arm's length as the fears should be coming down here onto Ruler, who has already flashed. He's getting low, and his first blood for Raptor in the bottom lane as GenG pushed up and they got punished.
I'm not sure about that flash from Kellen, but it's enough to get the full set of summoners and the kill onto Ruler. Kill goes over to Raptor early, which is actually important for his stacks, as we zoomed through this replay really quickly. But the thing about the Nocturne is when you get the kills early, which you're not supposed to really, ideally for the enemy team, not supposed to be able to get those pre-6. That means your cooldown when you do have your ultimate is going to be so much faster even on the first ult.
Yeah.
And so that is really, really important for the tempo of this game, not to mention the fact that now the Kalista has a significant advantage in terms of gold and is able to pick up Berserker Greaves right away. It is so huge for Diablo.
Yeah. And so now you got this top lane that's, you know, never going to be fun for Keen, but he picks the Zahen because he's dealing with a lot of close range members on the other side. Like, Genji's composition have a lot of tools when it comes to team fighting later on, but if bottom lane gets behind and top lane's already struggling and mid lane as well, maybe BNK can get some kind of momentum going, especially with just like a cheeky little early gank from the Nocturne that you wouldn't normally expect. It could be enough to, you know, kind of catapult them into the lead in the mid game and maybe win this one. So we'll have to wait and see how they manage this.
Certainly a lot of the wins, the upset wins we saw from BNK and the dominant victory we saw yesterday over D+, were strategic choices, strategic drafts. Even there was a single game win they got over GENG, same story. And that type of pathing for Raptor, unusual, very strategic. Will get them a pretty nice lead here to start things off. We won't see Canyon commit further without his ultimate here to set up a dive. Smikla not going to go for the ult there. Chovy will just take the back. But bottom side here, you know, you get that extra lead. It isn't going to last very long, but it means that you're not playing just with one hand tied behind your back constantly in this game. It's money that you're otherwise not going to be able to get down there on the bottom side. Even just the assist feels like you're winning at life if you're the Kalista in this game.
Yeah. I was going to say, look who's back. I mean, Raptor's down here once again. I don't think he is trying to get the gank. I think he just wants to pick up the Scuttle Crab and hit 6 off of it. If he has done this correctly, he's also starting the Dragon, so... I
mean, I believe Ruler just did his first back, so he didn't have items. He had to back. They knew that, and they were like, all right, well, with no Ashe here, we can get the push through. Canyon's looking for a potential steal setup.
He's going to have to just kind of walk in, and he is going for it. Really wants this early Drake. It comes down, and Canyon does it again. And even ults in with level 6 and forces the flash over the wall. But Raptor still gets the kill. GENG get the first straight, though.
I mean, Canyon is... He is not... I don't even want to say he's walking the tightrope. He's doing cartwheels over the tightrope with a blindfold on with the risks he is taking in this game. But he's like, Ambessa's got a lot of dashes. I'm going to show you just how many. Hope your smite finger's ready, Raptor, because this is how I'm going to play this fight. And even with the spell shield onto his ultimate from Raptor, he's still able to flash away. As Clear's looking for an aggressive play here as the empowered W.
Yeah, Kane in a little bit of trouble, but not really having enough pressure to get the kill. And yeah, I mean, Canyon, I don't know what it is against BNK. He's like, no, I'm just going to steal all of your things, as we do have the arrow coming down into Kellen. But, again, not enough pressure to actually drop the kill. But it's still a very nice early lead here for the side of BNK. 2 kills now for the side of Raptor. The bottom lane is going swimmingly, as good as you could hope for it to go, essentially. And now we're even looking for a little bit more. We get the zoom in, level 6.
Yeah, no flash here for Ruler still.
Oh,
he has enough space.
Sidestep on the handshake.
And I think if they get anything there, like the handshake connects or Fate's call is close enough to catch, the Raptor can look for an ult play. They still want to make something of this.
Yeah, I mean, they know this is possible. Raptor's just going to run at them. And Ruler, I mean, there's really nothing he can do except barrier eventually. And now, with the paranoia coming in, he will pick up the kill on a Ruler in the bottom lane. And just like that, Raptor is 3-0 in this game.
Quintessential Raptor early game. He's just making it happen. Aggressive pathing, getting into the back line, going into the enemy jungle, and finding these wraparound angles. He is 100% KPs, all 3 of 3 on the kills. And he's pushed Ruler out of this bottom lane again. 400 gold here, the lead for Diablo. And now GENG in a really awkward spot in this early game. This is not the early game they were hoping for with this Ashe pick. As God, this play here from Canyon comes over, has the dashes, and gets in here. Wait for it. 1070. Getting lower, gets the smite, gets hand shook, ults, Raptor, spell shields it, still has enough distance, gets the flash, so forces the follow flash. And here Ruler goes to ward, and unfortunately finds out that his worst fears were realized. That guy's already here! And a really nice ult here from Raptor. The Paranoia allows him to close that gap one more time. And it's the second kill there onto the Ashe. And now he has Hex Plate as well, so the ults are coming, and they're coming fast.
Yeah, they absolutely are, and it's kind of insane what he has been able to manage early on as the arrow. The timing, excellent here on a Vikla, who does have his flash, but now a Canyon coming in. Vikla just going to throw a shockwave and a flash to try to get away, but he just TP'd here, so not a very comfortable position for our Orianna player.
I mean, the thing is, Ruler is just like, I've seen 1,000 TPs. I know that timing. I know where you're going to land. And he just says, you think you could just TP back to lane casually? I'm not going to allow it. There's no response. And then the follow-up from Chovy doesn't require flash. Really easy for him to just go up and get that taunt set up. So forces Vikla out of lane. Means that Raptor has to clean up things. It's a huge tempo swing here for Chovy in this mid lane. Obviously, the early game was tough. He's completely out of it now.
Yeah, he's just biding his time, trying to build up to that Hallowed Radiance. Some Raptors going to be stolen by Raptor. Stolen. I got there in the end. He does this very often, so kind of getting to me. He is going to take down that ward as well. Just trying to further his lead as much as possible. Canyon just trying to power farm to keep up as much as possible. Raptor's here. He has his ult, of course.
Canyon is really far away. That route's going to buy some significant amount of time, and there's no wave, so...
They have flashes this time, though, so...
I just don't think they can commit without a wave.
Yeah.
Canyon even stops going over there. Goes straight to his Raptor camp. It's a calm before the storm in this game in a lot of ways. The BNK have generated a significant lead in the jungle and in the bottom and top lanes, but it's not enough to yet feel like they're in control of this game. They lost the Dragon to the Smite fight. GENG have so much to rest on in this game because they have the Ashe Seraphine comp, the anti-Kalista, all the CC. And this Renekton hasn't been played through really just yet. See what he can do in these team fights, because he's another melee that if he doesn't get charmed or rooted or taunted or ulted by Ambessa or skewered by Keen, can get a lot done.
It's a lot of things he has to
Picking
avoid.
up what I'm putting down.
Yeah. Canyon is top lane, so this Dragon will be BNK's. And of course, this is calculated. Canyon not going to try to put his face on the line to try to steal once again. Raptor not even going to smite this one down, and it's Mountain Soul that does come in.
Wave is here a little bit for a potential Paranoia. They're not going to commit, though. It's just too thin. So it is just Dragon, like you say, into Mountain. It's both of these comps love the Mountain. I think that the Kalista in particular always enjoys some additional resistances, especially when she gets later on in the game and likely to pick up a Jack shows. So even individual Mountain Drakes feel quite nice. And we're just kind of playing this slow mid-game out, or we're cresting into the mid-game now, where the lead for B&K is huge in terms of the gold numbers. But how well can they translate that into getting this Kalista further ahead in the mid-game is the question they still have to answer. And why I think even a B&K fan is not ready to fully trust that they are in the driver's seat in this game just yet, as Raptor has done so much. I don't think he could do any more in this game, and yet still feel like he's going to have to if they're going to hold on to this gold advantage.
Yeah, I mean, Fed Nocturne, again, can be very scary. You know, Vikla doesn't need to be fed to put the ball onto Raptor and press R onto Seraphine, which should be the main target, or even Ashe, you know, depending on the situation. But if you can take away a lot of that utility in the very beginning of the fight before he's even able to press any buttons, you're going to love it. And now they're actually trying to get onto Chovy here, it looks like. Want to utilize this Nocturne as much as possible. The taunt comes down and Chovy gets phase rush, so he's just... That's not going to work.
Might be able to make something happen in the bottom lane if they commit the roam from Vikla. Vikla has just not been spending any time outside of lane. Doesn't have his teleport, and he's still, you know, early days here on this Rod build he's going for, which I know is going to make a lot of people roll their eyes in this game. But he doesn't really hurt that much the enemy champions anymore. With the build that Chovy's gone, he's just able to walk it off every single thing that Vikla throws at him. And with no TP here, if he committed to a roam, could backfire immensely. the game is just, again, slowed down to a halt. And that gold lead, if you pulled up the graph, you'd see it's dropped about 50% here for B&K, what they had before. Still grouping now that they have the side lane Orianna to potentially look for a pick in the bottom lane. And there isn't really anything else they can go for. I mean, they have immaculate vision around this dragon, but it doesn't spawn for 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, Raptor's just trying to hover around Vikla, and Chovy's like, dude, I know you're here.
Yeah.
Very obvious, and also I have a ward. And yeah, Chovy's just such a difficult target to take down just with the two of them.
I mean, there is like one ward on the whole map for GENG. Okay, there's 3. One of them was covered earlier. There's the control ward, then those 2 wards defensively on the bottom side of the map.
We got a couple over here as well.
But the like map is completely red otherwise. Like, they have done such a great job of choking GENG out of the bottom side of the map without getting kills, and then making sure they can continue to apply that pressure without any consequences. And, you know, that means that it allows you to pull GENG around, grab some additional plate gold in the mid lane, keep that Kalista ahead. We have to keep asking the question, is this enough of a lead? The TP will come through for Chovy. They're just going to catch this wave. The Herald is up, so they lost prio here on that TP from the teleport from Chovy. Let's see how B&K play this. They do have clear with TP. He's going to grab a plate himself. And actually, GENG back away.
Yeah. GENG are backing off of the canyons down on the bottom side. We saw clear actually going in. But yeah, they are going to see Raptor moving over here, and I think they're just electing to say, well, at this point in time, you got a Kalista on one item, the Nocturne is gigantic. Let's not take any risks.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. You know, you do have Zahen, you've got Mbessa, you've got Ashe. I do feel like, you know, given enough time, a little bit more tankiness, maybe you can sneak some of the dragons. If they get into a 5v5 team fight and not die to the Nocturne, they're going to be in a good spot, and I think they can do that a little bit better.
However,
a little bit later in the game.
I agree with the choice from GENG, because this is how you could lose the game with certainty, is losing a fight there.
Yeah.
But the Herald value is, I mean, you're not going to feel like good about dropping this Herald, because if they kill that mid turret, this Fed Nocturne is just completely unleashed on the map. He can do whatever he wants, and Ruler will never be able to farm without assistance, will never be able to farm without help, or he would just be obliterated, especially with Bailout, you know, potentially on the cards with Kellen being nearby. It is so easy to just constantly keep him underfoot. And so this is an extremely high value Herald, especially because the timing of this with the Dragon guarantees prio here. Now, they don't necessarily be able to get the whole turret here, but it is going to be a big chunk. And that prio guarantees that they get this Dragon set up here.
I feel like it's a little bit early from the side of B&K, but they get total control over the river, which is the main thing. They have the sticks in the Dragon from the Kalista. Surely they can just time the smites here. The ult is not going to land, and oh no! Not like this, B&K!
My God, I don't know, my everything just flashed before my eyes watching that volley come through. Because you and I both knew, like, that 57 health is not it. It was way too early. 57's not, it's not a high number. But in terms of smites, it is high enough.
Oh, and now they want to dive. This could be, oh, they're not going to land the arrow, but it's still a lot underneath this turret, and clear has nowhere to run, and they're just so tanky already.
And just like that, the advantage that B&K had feels completely washed away, all gone, erased.
And now Diablo's trying to get plates here. I think he'll be okay, but you can feel the pressure from him. He wants to get as much as possible.
GENG take a gold lead. They take control over the map. They take their second Dragon of the game. And for B&K, they opted. They opted to commit to the smite there and just get out, not try to force a fight, just say Dragon's enough. And they did that. But one early smite after Canyon wasn't in the pit, you could just go sub-smite range to make sure. Watch Ruler here.
When did they do this? Oh, it's 2,000. That's... I mean, it doesn't... You can wait just a little bit more. Like, as long as it's above 1,400.
Yeah, yikes. It's... okay.
And now, in live, Vikla shockwaved, and now he's going to try to flash away. Canyon says, you're not getting away from Mbessa that easily. I will collect the kill. And bad turns to worse for B&K as GENG. They will feast on any amount of room you give them.
It's looking like this game might be heading towards sunset territory for B&K's composition. And I hate to say it, but in game 1, their comp had so many holes in it into what GENG had. In game 2, I like their composition better, but it's so all in and so strong at only certain moments in the game. If you really lose control, because they had all the edge they need to win the game. They had all of the setup. Like, they had the Fed Nocturne, they got the Herald, they had Dragon setup, and it's just dominoes falling one after the other. And you can't climb out of the hole with this composition if it falls behind enough. I think maybe B&K get one more fight, one more opportunity, one more bailout angle, potentially, or some crazy Nocturne Orianna combo. But I think one more chance in this game is all they'll get. They mess that up, they're unable to get it. I mean, it'll be sole point for GENG if the Dragon is secured once again for them.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be avoiding fights. They want to fight with the strongest. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's going to be the Fate's Call already utilized. You do see the taunt immediately as he comes out, and Kellen has to flash out. Meanwhile, he gets charmed up by the Seraphine, not in a very good spot. Bailout on Diablo, he immediately dies. And Raptor all alone. It's a very broken up fight for B&K, but it's 5 men strong for GENG. As Chovy, he is hunting that backline, and he will make that play happen.
3 seconds on Baron. 3 seconds on Baron when this happens.
It's free. It's free.
It's so free. There is no jungler. There's no damage. Bickel doesn't have Shockwave. He's sitting on a Rod of Ages that's not complete. He can't hurt a fly. This Baron is just going to go down right away, and Clear is just going to hope to trade it for a turret here with Vikla. But that fight was the last chance I was alluding to. And it slips through their fingers. They get absolutely crushed. GENG snatch this victory away in a split second. Baron's up. Suddenly, what was a 1,500, nearly 2,000 gold lead for B&K for all of the early game is now a massive lead for GENG here. As the arrow comes through, the root's there, they get the Fate's Call, and then it goes in onto Chovy for some reason. Flashes, but the charm is already out. It's a double charm here with the extension, and it's just easy as pie. Frankly, to clean up with this draft as GENG, they get a single CC, and it's just layers upon layers, and that Kalista top maybe never is going to be spinning in this one.
Yeah, I mean, the way B&K win fights, if this were a more even game, is through the Orianna Nocturne combo, you get the follow-up. You know, Kellen throws himself in, a little bit of engage Renata, right? Everybody piles on with essentially 5 melee, it feels like. But if you're getting engaged on and Kellen's throwing himself into a Galio just to get taunted and Diablo's left all alone, you're not winning a single fight. And especially not when you're this far behind. As now Vikla just runs into them and GENG say, thank you very much, we will pass go and collect 370 as we do have the taunt coming down the charm there on a Diablo. As he's just running away, and GENG are just styling on them now. A root comes down on a Clear as he's free food as well. And he's looking a lot like solo queue. And B&K are just getting rolled now, 20 minutes into the game.
It's just 7,000 gold lead now. This turret is just dead. And GENG can go ahead and grab Soul Point. They seem only vaguely interested in that, as they'll send Canyon over alone.
They're like, I guess sure.
An inhibitor is pretty appealing. With Diablo nearby and 4 seconds on Vikla, they might not be able to get that whole inhibitor, but they're so ahead. I think they could have gone for the try. Instead, they'll send Chovy over here. They'll take out an additional turret. And 7,000 turns to nearly 9,000 gold, the advantage.
Yeah.
Soul Point in pocket. And watch this isn't even chain CC onto Vikla. They both just kind of aim at him, and he dies.
No flash. Just running at them.
Like, both of the CCs were just angled the same way towards him at, like, different cross angles.
Yeah.
He's hit by both. He's dead. He has no flash, as you mentioned. And he's coming in on a flank angle. They read it. They destroy. And then from here, it's just, this comp is so oppressive from ahead. You just keep going in.
Yeah.
And
Everybody
one
full
hostile
health.
takeover is just, it's like the only thing you have. It's feeble in comparison.
Yeah,
It's like putting your hand up against a
All right, they're going to try for it, Wolf, as I don't think I saw a Shockwave. There it is, and he's just going to flash it. And now, in goes Canyon. He says, jump, I will take the kill. And picks up 2, picks up 3. And that's the one thing about B&K. They will never back down from a fight, even if they're 10,000 gold behind. But sometimes it just looks like this, and it's not very fun for them. GENG, though, having a ball, just running them down. Vikla gonna flash away, and maybe for now he will survive. But the game is over. The game was over. It felt like 10 minutes ago.
The good news is his Rod of Age is completed. Oh. That's the only good news, Valdez.
Yeah, that's going to be the end of Clear, and it looks like the end of Game 2 going heavily in favor of GENG, just like that. You gave them an inch, one failed play, and GENG said, thank you very much. We will take the game from here, 2-0 for GENG, as they are looking like the strong favorites to take this LCK Cup.
They were the massive favorites before the night began, but now it is a hard mental gymnastics set you're gonna have to go through if you are gonna believe the reverse sweep could come through. It's not impossible. We've seen crazier things in LCK. We've seen crazier things in LCK finals. In LCK Cup, last time GENG was here, it went to 5, and they lost to Hanwha Life ultimately. But this looks like a completely different series. We're not going toe-to-toe with each other. These players, despite not lifting a world's title here on the side of GENG, with the exception of Ruler and Canyon, this org hasn't lifted one in a while, have so much international experience, and most of these BNK players are doing this, playing in this arena for the very first time. To reverse sweep here against GENG would be something that we tell stories about for years.
Well, this is where you got to start, right? It's not looking very likely, but yeah, GENG, we weren't sure exactly what their form was going to be like on the day, but I think once we see these first couple of games, it almost feels like the result is just minutes away, potentially, as GENG taking the lead here 2-0. BNK, we'll have to see if they can make a comeback, but for now, guys, we'll throw it to a break and have the space. We'll be right back.
정레드 20초.
보트 정글 노플.
정레드 자연 그냥 몸 부르면서 할만한가?
할만해. 갈리오 공도 돌려와.
나 할만?
야, 미드 잘. 아, 봐줄게.
이쪽 올래?
빼면서 해, 나 꼬바 안 돼. 야,
우리도
보자.
천천히 보자.
거의 4대5야.
이게
괜찮아, 이겼어.
야, 끝내러 가자.
이게 헬로.
해줄게요.
The similar cost is so much still available, but I think the big picks here really that you're worried about as GENG are Diablo focused, right? They'll take away the clear Rumble since it is first pick here for BNK, but I wouldn't be shocked to see another Yunara ban, and potentially even a Lucian ban in this situation. The Zeri they banned was really smart because of the all-in potential into the Ashe Seraphine. I think that's not necessarily first pickable by any means here for BNK. And there's a few other picks that you could look at that are safe, but don't feel like they are incredibly strong for composition building here for BNK that are left available, like Xin Zhao. You could first pick that, but you don't go for first pick for those types of choices. As I love the Lulu ban.
Yeah, we had Karma last time around in the same spot. This time it's Lulu. And it's because they're dealing with a different situation and they are not going to get Ashe Seraphine this time. So they just want to make sure that no Lulu is going to come through. And I think that's a good shout because you know, Kellen is fantastic at enchanters, and they know that they want to deny it away from BNK.
Didn't ban Nico. I think they should have banned Nico here. It feels pretty obvious to me that GENG are looking to have a 1-2 punch of the Corki Nico in response to whatever that first pick is. You can't get that duo yourself with only one pick on first pick here for BNK. They banned away the Yone of all things, which really doesn't tell us a whole lot. GENG opt to take away the Karma. They're taking away all enchanters from Kellen. It feels like they're definitely looking for that Nico pick. And they'll just let the Azir through. And we are not overall super psyched about what that means right now in this meta.
I think that Chovy can play a whole slew of different things into that. If he wants to pull out the Akali, he can, but absolutely doesn't have to. And I think you're right about, you know, GENG trying to go for strong duos and cut away. You know, we talked about Diablo, but banning away enchanters also makes Diablo's life hard. And this is exactly what you were talking about with the Nico still available. Feels like a slam dunk.
And I guess the idea is to protect the Yone, or protect the Azir with the Yone ban, but this feels so much worse to deal with when we're talking about Ruler and Duro in the bottom lane. You don't necessarily have to lock the Corki here if they want to go for a prio jungler pick instead. But this deep in the series, I don't think that's even necessary. And Wait and See can react. Canyon is getting the word though, so they will opt for the Wukong instead of getting the AD carry pick right now. Rakan is fearlessly banned. They opted for this Nico Wukong, which is still, you know, strong synergy. It's not as easy to pull off.
Well, there's Lucian and there's Nami. With Nami available, this is something you could have done as Yunara. Still lift up, and Ruler's like, you know what? I'll just play that.
The Corki cannot match the Lucian in lane in terms of all-in power, but the Yunara absolutely can with her Q stacked and with her ultimate later on. So if they were thinking about the Corki, they could pivot so easily now to the Yunara when this is locked in. Now, I still think this is going to be a skill-based 2v2 in the bottom lane. I think it's a fairly even matchup. But what the Yunara does later on is often a lot more than Lucian Nami. It's not a Milio composition this time for Diablo. Xin Zhao is taken away since the Wukong is already locked in here for GENG. And I suppose you could look to just ban away some safe frontline top lane picks here from Keen. If you are BNK, Cassante, Sion do kind of fit the bill. Rek'Sai.
Yeah, that's a Keen favorite.
Which also is good into Lucian and strong into tanks that players could be looking for here.
Yeah, Claire definitely sometimes leans on like a Sion pick somewhere around the middle of the Fearless drafts that they get. So not a bad idea. I do wonder if they will look at Akali at all.
I was thinking about, is there any Sylas angle here? Because, you know, it's really powerful what they have. In terms of ultimate stolen, not the greatest right now, but it's great into the Azir matchup. Is the Cassante, I think when you see the Rek'Sai ban, you're like, okay, I see what you're angling for. You ban the Cassante away from clear. Ahri is taken away, which can work well with Wukong, and can just shut down the Lucian when he wants to dash forward and make a play. So, it's going to be the answer here is the big question. Solo laners completely unknown for GENG. Can just get the counter pick here for Chovy if he has a great answer right now that he's planning on playing. The Akali you mentioned, one of those counter picks that's left. Or keep it a secret.
Annie
Wukong. It's an old one, but it's a good one. You know, it was one of Ryu's favorites during the struggle times back on when he was on BNK. It was a gold classic. Keep it simple, we said back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a bad idea. Certainly fantastic snap engage. Works well with the Wukong. Thinking about the Mundo here for Raptors, so that's going to be the lock-in.
I think that's very smart. Just any sort of frontline for this Lucian now. Let the Annie Stuns get absorbed by a target that doesn't care. The Mundo, the Sion both fit the bill. And if it were almost any other player than Diablo, I would just not trust this draft. But it is Diablo. I do think, given the right circumstances, and if he plays well, this is a great tool to set him up.
Yeah, do it.
It did not work for him last Kespa Cup final, or sorry, LCK Cup finals.
It's okay. This time is different.
He did
Lock
get
it.
a great. We got a great cosplay out of it from Wadid as well.
Yeah. I think it's happening. Come on. No. Aatrox.
I still think this is quite fun as well. I think that I will enjoy this personally quite a bit. Okay, so you have two compositions that are trying to do very different things. There's an insane amount of engage on the side of GENG and so much follow-up damage. The Yunara and the Annie will do crazy amounts of damage. And the front line of the Aatrox that kind of holds it together could also be certain follow-up CC angles for him. Obviously, if he's sweet spotting onto the Lucian, that makes the Lucian's life miserable. On the side of B&K, they're just going to try to give Lucian every resource he can get. Diablo is going to be looking to hop off and carry. If there's a champion that's out of position, he's going to be proccing his passive as fast as he can. Every dash he goes for it, every Q he hits, all the burst, he's trying to kill people on cooldown for every single ability he has. Every single time he sees somebody in the mid game, he's going to be trying to kill them. And then when we get to late game, the leash that he has is going to be in that front line. It's going to be in the Mundo. It's going to be in the Scion. It's going to be the extra damage he has when he gets to late game and he's on 3+ items, where he can hope to do that burst damage. But he has to avoid all of his engage. He has to avoid the Wukong. He has to avoid Tibbers and the flanking Nico. But if he can do all that, then he can bring us to 4.
It's a lot of pressure, but we know that he is capable. I just worry because it feels like GENG, the way they have won the first couple of games, and with a comp like this is the comfort zone for them. And we are ready. Let's hop into the rift for game number 3.
Minions have spawned.
Here we go. Game number 3 begins now. Diablo on his Lucian. And Chovy's like, you know what? I played Galio, and now I'm going to play Annie. I don't need to be the one who is making the ridiculous flashy plays. I'll play the simple champs and make crazy plays anyway. We saw his Galio in the last game was able to get that flank, and really, as our space highlighted, that was kind of the one fight that broke the game open. More than anything else.
For anyone who's ever been a Lucian with a tempo advantage, say you're coming out of lane with 2 kills when you're in the mid lane, you know that you are going to be high agency. Your team wants to play through you. You know that it's almost like the fantasy of any Lucian player is to have that advantage and go, all right, now let me see target, kill target. I'm going to dash forward. I'm going to have the support of my team. I'm going to take every risk, but my damage will back it up. But then imagine losing control of the map. After trying to make any of those plays, you mess it up just one time. And now you're like, I gotta still dash forward. I gotta make those plays, I gotta catch those targets, but at any moment in time, if you can't see, there's a Wukong, there's an Annie, there's a Nico somewhere where you don't know, you have to still be confident to make those plays. We're gonna see a trade back here from Ruler with the Q coming out. Won't lead to anything, but as Diablo, you're going to have to be willing to play like a psychopath. And that is what he is well known for. And to be able to pull it off and to walk that fine line in this mid game is going to be what this is all about for B&K. And you know what? If this is how they die, if this is how they lose in this series through this type of drafting and through that crazy play, I think even B&K fans will respect it because it's what you love, it's what you're here for.
Yeah.
But it is going to be a fun one. I can guarantee you that.
It's definitely important to note what's going on here in the mid lane. The Annie with supreme auto range. This is the best way to play Annie, is to just continue poking bit by bit, auto by auto, and the Azir, he puts down a soldier, maybe he gets a shot or two, and then the Annie just kind of walks around him and has range advantage, and will always be very annoying in terms of winning in the harass battle. So Vikla's going to have to take a relatively early back. And, keep in mind, Chovy still he holds on to his stun, has electrocute, so if any kind of burst play comes out, the Annie also going to be strong there.
Absolutely. Yeah, the electrocute and the stun always stacking on top of that, just chipping auto damage. It'll become harder and harder to make those types of plays and build those advantages later on, but in the early levels, it is pretty straightforward. Ends up getting a small CS advantage over Vikla as he takes the later TP back. Ruler will be cut off very briefly from Duro here. And in the top lane, we haven't really taken a look at it. It's Aatrox into Sion. Aatrox wants to keep measured aggression. Diablo is very low on mana, gets the level up. I don't really think he can push anything further here. Should be backing as soon as possible.
You see the stuns come out in mid. It should be Chovying on a champion like this as well. So that's something we always have to note. When Chovy is in the game, he will look to Chovy and get very far ahead.
The red dots do disappear around him.
Yes. Vikla, nice trade here, goes in with the shield and eventually gets Chovy extremely low. But Potion was still available here for Chovy, as was the refillable for Vikla. So pretty nice trade overall from the side of Vikla.
Yeah, we do have the support in the mid lane here, trying to really push Chovy out of lane because he already used his TP. It's really not going to amount to too much. Raptor's going to come over here and try to take the Raptor camp, as is his namesake.
Duro here, and now Raptor is getting punched down just a little bit, but Canyon goes in. The double bubble is going to land immediately on both of them, but no follow-up as they're quite deep in the jungle. And they say, well, we don't want to overextend too much. Not at this point in the game.
This does pull GENG around the map pretty significantly as Diablo is backing. Gets back to lane with a serrated Dirk without really any loss here. Chovy hits level 6. This is actually a tense moment when he has ult advantage, even though he's down on health a little bit.
Tempo tippers. Throw the tempo tippers. He's going to do it. There it is. Drops it down. Electrocute comes out, and Vikla's like, oh, I guess I have to respect this.
It's just so incredibly powerful. Get the tippers on top, and that will be backs traded. So as that wave is cleared, we love the tempo tippers. As this is a really tough lane to push advantages on further than what they have right now at this stage. Like, they have the Dirk, and as long as Duro and Ruler don't make mistakes, you don't get caught by a bubble. It's hard for Diablo to have kill pressure, but crashing these waves in may force some jungle attention. But the bigger win is that Hextech Dragon has spawned, and we do have Raptor taking it here. And unfortunately for Canyon, he's not level 6 yet on this Wukong. Difficult to challenge, but I mean, I've said it. Canyon, I don't know about this. I've said, Canyon, I don't know about this. Someone
No! Not again! He does it again!
It cannot keep happening!
And Raptor's like already backing off. He's like, I have to respect this. Oh yeah, it's just a done deal. I know he's gonna steal it away. I just don't know how this keeps happening.
It's unreal. It's unreal. You're already front runner for POM, Canyon. And this is the one pressure point they really had, and they no longer can utilize barrier.
Oh, look at this. Diablo, he's getting chunked out, and he's gonna have to back off the play. And there is a pause.
Hope it's not a 10 million won bathroom pause for Diablo.
Yeah, I don't think so. The timing would be very strange.
I don't think so either. I think that has been stressed enough. I think they're pretty aware of the bathroom management. I hope it's not something super serious, but we will give you guys the update as soon as we can. Game state here, pretty favorable for GENG with the Dragon Steal. Things were looking otherwise pretty normal, pretty strong in the bottom lane for the side of BNK. They had that prio there. Side lane power of the Azir will be something that we will discuss later on in this game if the game doesn't blow up before then. I cannot quite tell whose issue it is.
Yeah, I mean, we've had all sorts of interesting issues here at the LCK Cup.
This has been, I think, one of the furthest I've ever sat from the players as a commentator tournament.
Yeah, it's actually very true. They're all the way over there on the other side of the arena, and it's quite a big place. Pastor John was very much hammering home the 10,000 number that this arena can fit. We are basically full here.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're only getting a look at the GENG players, and they seem to be just hanging out. So probably an issue on the BNK side. But I mean, we saw an advantageous trade for the bottom lane of GENG, and immediately Diablo and them backed away. So perhaps there was some issue there.
Yeah, I got the update that there was an issue with one of the players' PCs. That's the only information that we have at the moment, so hardware related. which is, by my books, always a great reason to pause. Because if you have hardware problems,
my books too.
You need to solve them to be able to play the game at the optimal level, which is always required. Competitive integrity is of the most importance here. Pretty tense, as a reminder to those who might not know this, as we do occasionally have pauses in Grand Finals, and I know Grand Finals, some people just watch the finals. You're not allowed to communicate with your team during these pauses, so imagine, if you're thinking about this, the situation is tense, the bottom 2v2 has gone awry for B&K, and then suddenly there's a pause, and you cannot communicate what you want to do next, where the jungler needs to go, what the next call is going to be for Dragon or Grubs. You have to just sit in silence until this issue is resolved. It's one of the most tense things that can happen to anybody in an esports tournament, not much less the finals, where there are 10,000 fans waiting patiently. Most of them for the game to begin again.
Yeah, it's understandable. You saw that Clear kind of had his head bowed down. He might be a little bit frustrated, but probably it's just to take a little rest during the pause, because it's not like they can talk about anything anyway. He is playing Sion after all, so...
This is one of the better shots I think we've had of really showcasing just how many people are in here. It looks like the game may be resumed soon.
Just kidding.
But you can feel the tension, right, in this moment, right, where everyone's waiting. And it is quite tense.
Yeah, we had a little jump scare there where it looked like we were getting ready to jump back into the game, and we're not. Not just yet.
So the the atmosphere here, I think, is quite, like, people are quite excited about being able to finally watch LCK games here locally in Hong Kong. I think we kind of really overstate the excitement and the amount of fans who watch us, and like even we're telling us to tell the other commentators who are in Seoul right now, like, please say hi for us. We love you guys. We enjoy watching us. A lot of them watch the English stream.
Yeah.
But we also got to meet the Cantonese commentators who also do from time to time watch the English stream as well. And it has been a really fun experience, I think, for everyone involved, everyone who's at this tournament, to see the passion of these fans who've been given this really awesome opportunity that it comes once in a lifetime, and the tickets sold out right away. And I know there are a lot of T1 fans here who wished the circumstances were different, but they came just the same. And they're here to watch the highest level League of Legends you got worldwide. And the first time we get to see a big stage like this in Hong Kong. And the crowd, we mentioned it earlier, very GENG favored. They're up 2-0.
Yeah, it's a lot of... something I've noticed is a lot of the fans here are just really big fans of players that have been around for a long time. So especially guys like Canyon, when he came out, he got a gigantic cheer. He is one of the top players in the world, but also a world champ, a finals MVP at Worlds. And, some of the newer players these fans are still fans of, but certainly leaning towards guys like, even yesterday, Showmaker, who's been around for a long time and won a bunch of stuff. But Diablo, one of the newer guys, getting a lot of fans as well.
I think it's really important to note, too, that that era for Damwon was bringing the LCK back to the forefront after a bit of a struggle for us at the World Championships. And that was inspiring for a lot of people, and Canyon was at the forefront. He was the world's MVP in 2020. Mentioned a lot of these GENG players haven't quite lifted the World's Trophy just yet. Chovy, arguably the one that is discussed the most. We're a long ways away from Worlds right now, but these players have so much experience on this stage. On the other side, not as much, right? Kellen's been on for a while. He had a pretty memorable Worlds performance for D+, but not maybe even the positive in the pros column for him. And for Diablo...
This guy knows the sign meta.
He knows the sign meta. Diablo is... he has certainly got a lot of fans here. And even though he is not having a successful day thus far, I do think, as you can see here, seen so many Diablo signs. I think he knows that the crowd is with him. So many of them are behind him. someone hoping for a Chovy POM, but
You got a
Canyon
Yankos
is currently
fan.
leader.
Chovy. Tons of Chovy fans. It's actually insane.
Someone asking, please 3-0.
You know, I think it's a pretty safe bet at this point, to be honest. But
There's still a little bit of League of Legends left to play in this
Yeah.
third game, but
game 3 is, you know,
so just a
seems
small,
even for now.
a small update on the PC issue is that it's actually being reported by both sides of the stage here. So both teams are reported an issue. So what that means, I am not going to speculate on, and when it occurred or how long it's been happening. That's just information we do not have. And generally speaking, when the PC issues like this do come up, often PCs are swapped, and that's why pauses like this take a long time, because hardware has to be changed. I'm not actually able to confirm whether or not that is happening, and I haven't seen any PCs
I don't
being
see
removed.
that, yeah.
So could just be a lot of confirmations being had here, and watching back footage of the players to make sure that it was in fact a frame drop or whatever the case may be, and not just player eye test error. So there's a lot of things that need to be done to make sure that the best possible scenario is reached for both teams. So thank you for your patience if you are watching at home or somehow in this arena and have our stream open and are able to hear us over the roar of the crowd.
Well, it does look like we are resuming. So whatever the issue was, we are going to get into the game now. As Clear immediately is in trouble, has to flash away. Keen does not follow flash. But not having a fun time up here.
Looks like we had some rejoining of the game, as implied by those players saying that they left the game. They're in fact in the game. So for now, that might have been enough to resolve the issue. And now we're looking for a potential crash in this bottom lane. The ult from Clear back to the top lane. As to recap, oh, hold on.
Culling, it comes in there. Duro tries to throw out the clone. It is going to catch the clone. Diablo goes in and nearly takes Duro's head off, forces the flash away. And now looking for more. Ruler's got to be careful. He's got that Q charged up, but he is not going to pull the trigger just yet on the ult.
Ruler has flash. Diablo has to be really careful. Kellen doesn't have heal and doesn't have his ult. So I think that's kind of the end of it. Even though he wants to push the issue further, he just doesn't have the tools anymore. Just to give a slight recap, the dragon was stolen again by Canyon. And bottom side control went back to the side of Ruler and Duro. As you guys could see, there's a small CS lead there. Chovy's laning phase has been immaculate, utilizing the early range from Annie. You mentioned the auto attack range, chip away the poke. And there were some jungle resources given. And it is going to be Grubs going over to GENG here, uncontested, as Canyon is the man of the objectives tonight.
Yeah. And much in the way that yesterday was pretty one-sided, stomp towards the side of BNK, it does feel like we're getting similar energy here tonight. You know, I was hoping for at least one of these series to go 4, maybe 5. My prediction was 3-2 GENG. I thought BNK looked in great form, and yes, GENG should be the favorites, but it just feels like, you know, so far maybe it's the energy of the crowd, or maybe GENG are just that much better than everybody else that they just have not looked like GENG's match tonight. And I really hope that BNK keep fighting. You know, they don't just back down and stop playing the game. I really hope that we can get some good League of Legends here in this game.
It's just Canyon kind of breaking their backs as Raptor is going to come over here. Speaking of Canyon,
He's pretty deep in the jungle. I mean, this is a Mundo, so maybe he does get to go wherever he wants, but eventually probably going to have to flash this wall, and there he goes. That's the flash away from them. Vikla able to get the Tibbers out of Chovy, as he was taking an aggressive trade at the same time.
yeah, has no Emperor's Divide though. And it looks like this is just going to be river control back to GENG. Scuttle goes over. And it's a trade up for them again in a small trade.
Very nice dodge on Slurkle there. And dodging everything is Diablo. Barrier going to be forced out here. A lot of tense trades down on the bottom side, especially with Canyon down there. Diablo going back in. And now it's Ruler's turn to dash forward.
Down now.
Yeah.
Diablo slows flash.
Vikla, okay. He is going to get stunned up, and Tibbers does follow here. And now we got Canyon just in there. A little bit of a jump scare from the jungle. Gets the flash out of Vikla.
Hard to say who that favors, actually, at the end of the day, because Azir can utilize flash to be a little bit more aggressive and safe into Tibbers, but Wukong even with the Warriors Trickster, very powerful to have the extra extension on Cyclone with the flash. He's unable to get the kill there. Delays the back though, and the tempo definitely feeling very much in Genji's hands. 1,000 gold is the lead, and about 562 of that is in this Aatrox in the top lane, so it's still a very playable game here for BNK. It's just these moments that where it feels like it's a foregone conclusion. Like, okay, yes, BNK have the Lucian lane that's in control. They have Dragon Prio, and Canyon steals it away. That makes you wonder, could they do it no matter what? Like, even if everything is given to them, if every opportunity is presented to them, will Canyon just snatch it away? It really is the reason why this 1,000 gold lead feels so much bigger than it truly is.
Yeah, it's really about the vibes, right? The feeling of the tempo vibes are so heavily in Genji's favor after the way that Game 2 went, and now the start of Game 1 brings back those bad memories for BNK. That's really the main issue.
The good news for this Dragon is that Canyon is about half the map away. So
that'll help.
This one will go over. I mean, Ruler got the steal with the Ashe previously. So
against Kalista. That was just crazy. No flash here for Vikla. Sun comes down. Chovy probably going to have to farm that one up again because he's got flash, and this is really where, well, okay, there's the stun as the divide does come through, though. Canyon gets pushed away. Very nice response here from Vikla. And now Raptor on the chase. No flash here for Chovy. Can't get away from the Mundo, but Canyon goes back in on a Vikla who's desperate to try to get the kill and just dies. First blood to Chovy. As it gets messy and Genji wins those.
Had they just walked away, would have felt so good for them. Getting Chovy's flash, the ult is dropped, the Emperor's Divide is so well timed. They got a little greedy on it, which I can totally understand in that scenario, but fortunately it is going to be another kill to Genji here. First blood. They have 3 grubs, and the lead gets bigger. Chovy's now...
Raptor. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Well, he doesn't have flash, and he does not have ult, but he's running away for now.
Chovy is 1,000 gold up. The Kraken Slayer is picked up here for Ruler. We haven't seen Diablo back just yet, but the next port of call is going to be the Rift Herald. And BNK, it's moments like this where you're like, okay, Vikla, well played. Has the Emperor's Divide angled correctly into the Wukong follow-up. And from here, you could push Chovy back and then just grab the wave. Instead, you push for the angle. Canyon has Cyclone, gets the second Cyclone. Vikla has to all-in and is unsuccessful. And it could have been just as simple as being happy to have Chovy waste his flash. But there was some serious greed.
I feel like Raptor also could have just continued running after Chovy, but he tried to turn and peel for the Wukong, and then Vikla goes in, so the peel wasn't even really necessary. And I feel like Raptor from that position, he had another Heartsteel proc available onto the Wukong. Could have just used it there. Canyon, either way, they're going at it once again. And Canyon not really going to win those, but he does have the red buff.
His ultimate is coming up in 10 seconds, and they're both coming up at the same time here. There's a Cyclone angle potentially if Diablo wants to overextend in and try to force the play. Canyon doesn't have flash though. He's just going to walk away. All Diablo has to do is not get Cycloned here.
All right, Vikla.
That's some damage.
Yeah. Tempo Tibbers, once again, if you haven't watched Shandy in a long time, it's so annoying to lane into because you just don't really get to lane. A lot of the times you're just sitting at like 10%, 20% health. A big engage down the bottom side. Junglers trying to read each other. Spell immune once again is Raptor. Going in for the second charge. There's Cyclone, dangerous into the Mundo, but he's not going to overcommit.
The heal's coming through with the dodge on the bubble. I think that's kind of the end of it. So this whole game, it's only 1 kill. But BNK fans got to be holding their breath the whole time.
It's 2,000 gold lead as well.
And it's all of the early control. It's the lane leads. You know, the lead here for Keen is almost doubled up to 900. With that 1 kill for Chovy, he goes up to 1,000. And there's your lead right there. And we've seen a few moments where it's a near turnaround for Diablo on the bottom side, a near catch for Raptor, a near punish for Vikla. And the game is still playable completely here for BNK. And they're going to have a really strong mid-game coming up. But they just don't have really any of what they would have liked. They would have loved to have the grubs in this game. They would have loved to have that first dragon, double dragon into Infernal Soul. That's such a huge lead. It's so important to have, but GENG have bought themselves so much time with that steal alone. And now Canyon's on to this Herald. We're going to see a TP from Vikla and possibly just another one from Clear here for the contest. And that should be enough to push them off. Speaking of TP, Keen will match.
Yeah. Everybody's getting in here for the party. Interrupters still holding on to that shield. There it goes. Canyon's still on this one. And look at Chovy. He's got the angle. And look at Kellen. Where did he go? As the item completed, at least Raptors able to get the Rift Herald, but not the eye just yet. Vikla having a rough time, and they're just wailing on Clear here, who is going to pick up the eye and just decide to go down for it. And Duro will be totally fine, but that's a couple extra kills for GENG, and yeah, you got the eye, but not worth in my book.
They get Keen. I don't think so. Chovy's still here. Stun almost prepped. And the burst damage of this Annie is coming in big. The teleport angle for Keen initially feels like it might be a bit greedy because he's going super deep. But B&K are just not confident with theirs. You know, the teleport that comes through from the Scion is super far away, and B&K cannot quickly decide which target they want to go for. And as they're trying to approach, Chovy is just like, surprise! Like, look at this. He's just in the banana brush. TP comes in here for Keen, and B&K are just like, we got to rush over. Clear is so far away. And Chovy's just like, I don't want the Scion. I want the Nami. And Clear is just like, what do I do now? He turns around, doesn't peel for Raptor, has to flash away.
Diablo's zoned by Tibbers.
There's just like no play here for B&K. They just have no in.
Yeah. And that's the thing about the Annie. Like, after the Annie was selected, they went Mundo Scion, and yeah, Annie's burst not great into those big, beefy tanks, but Chovy with flash and insane burst damage, he doesn't have to target the tanks. Target literally anyone else, and you're going to one-shot them. Or you can just target Raptor too. I guess that works out. You don't necessarily need the kill, as long as the jungler's nowhere near, and you're still going to pick up the Drake.
Starting to feel like B&K just don't have anything in this, you know, as Clear is just going to ult in and...
These are the two tanks, and now Diablo's like, well, I guess I'll try to do something, as is often asked of him, and now finally going to find an angle here on a Duro. He is down. Vikla, important kill for him.
Also got the charge to the mid turret. The two small wins here. As it looks like Chovy is going to be completely fine. I don't know if completely fine really describes it. He's actually going to be completely happy with getting half of Vikla's health bar.
Yeah, this is the versus Annie experience. It's not a good one. Not a good one.
You and I flew from Seoul to Hong Kong. And if it's only 6 games we get, so be it, because that is the nature of competition.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't feel right. In these moments here, they get the Herald to drop. Clear's walking forward. Obviously doesn't have his ultimate here. Is trying to absorb pressure, but the second Diablo's like, okay, I'm ready to do damage. He gets Cyclone. The second Cyclone prevents him from following up. And then finally, Vikla is able to find this angle here. So that's a success. They end up getting the charge on the Herald. But they need so much more if they want to hope to come back in this game. Look at the item here for Rua, the second item that's put together. He's ahead of Diablo in that regard in terms of completions. We need to see Diablo get the opportunity to pop off hard in some of these upcoming fights. And with Dragon 3.5 minutes away, it feels like an eon. With the lack of side lane pressure here, I mean, Vikla's trying to set something up in the bottom lane, but he needs jungle attention. Otherwise, Chovy just drops bears on him. And that's the end of his push.
Yeah, every fight we've seen after we saw Imperial Mandate and the Storm Razor come out has just been somebody on B&K dying before Diablo can even get there, or basically dying. This time, though, we are going to have a big calling it to Ruler. And look at the extension as well, as once again, the tidal wave does come out, but Duro fast enough to run away from this one.
A lot of health on Ruler, almost got a clone, but again, not enough. I don't want to say it's grasping at straws. It was a good play. They saw the split. They knew that Duro was a little bit out of position there. Couldn't really peel for Ruler, but turning it into a big
Ruler? Be so careful. I don't think you get to stand there.
No.
Especially without Nico, even with Nico.
It's a kind of notorious location for Ruler to stand.
Oh, engage potential here onto Diablo, as they're just going to go in on a Kellen, and there's the follow-up from Duro, gets the knock up into the roots, and Keen is on the hunt, and one auto and one Q is enough, even gets the couple of them, Raptor and Vikla afterwards. And he is not done with this fight himself. He's going to fight Vikla, who gets rooted up and taken down. And a Raptor and Clear, the two tanks, just left twiddling their thumbs.
And there was a reason why Ruler wanted to stay. We saw it on full display. The collapse was real, the engage was solid. And Diablo and Kellen are dead, and Diablo's down a flash as Chovy is just gonna walk it off.
Oh no. Now he's just having fun.
You know when you add insult to injury, but then there's one more step. What do we add to that? I don't know, it looks like about a third of Clear's health bar.
Ingrained trauma. I don't know.
Yeah, that may be what it is. I don't want to call this series a choke for BNK, because I don't think that characterizes it well. It's a great performance from GENG, which is what we expected, and Canyon in particular, who is running this series every single bit of it. Like every single moment feels so set up by him. But I also just feel we're seeing both a lack of confidence from BNK when they fight, and also sudden decision making that isn't at the right call. Like it's the judgment that's missing as well. That's why it feels like they're playing nervous, and why I almost want to use the word choke, but it just feels like instead I should use the word outclassed.
Yeah. So that really what it does feel like an outclassing, because BNK are in it until they're absolutely just 100% out of it, you know? And that's the GENG effect. For one reason or another, that's what they will make you feel. And now down 4,000 gold.
Ian's going to get the bottom turret.
Yeah.
It'll be their third of the game.
So maybe down 5,000 gold. Well, not quite, but still. We do have this Infernal Drake coming up here in 10 seconds, and getting that turret
I think they're just
going to make it even easier.
I think they're just going to give it up because they have no way to challenge. Like, Ian is like, when you take your time down there, Canyon, I think you pretty much got this one on your own. They're going to trade a turret for Dragon, but I'm also looking for another turret.
Yeah.
As in the mid lane, the fearsome Lucian draft, not really holding a candle.
I mean, Chovy's like, cool story, bro. I can still one-shot you. Diablo, no! Not like this! I was just saying that he can just one-shot you.
And he does! It's
He's
like
Kenny with Flash!
It's exactly as you say it. And Diablo's so known to try to bait these types of exchanges, so known to try to set these traps to you know, dangle himself out there and say, I'm going to outplay this. But he didn't have Flash, and Chovy did.
And now Raptor is, he's going to have to flash there.
Don't try to outplay one of the lowest skill ceiling champs on the highest skill ceiling players with the lead he has. Well, you're going to find out, Diablo.
I do like that Chovy here, he expects the dash back,
Yeah,
and he's ready for it. Like,
slow on the arc is low value, but Diablo's like, I think I got this angle? No.
no. Aims it behind him because you can only dash so far, right? So the stun is very reliable.
Thing is, you and I both know Chovy hits that.
Yeah.
And I think Diablo likely knew as well, but...
Yeah, it looks silly, and at the same time, I think Diablo knows, as we were talking about, like, if he doesn't try to go for big plays, extremely risky plays, they're just going to lose anyway. So,
and we talked, like,
just send it, I suppose.
We said all of the threats that Diablo has to deal with. He's only died twice this game, but his damage output is going to be so low. When we look at the post-game stats, unless something changes here, damage to champions is going to be abysmal because he just cannot get close to hit them.
Hey, he pressed culling a couple of times, so maybe, you know, the number will look good. Not that it matters. For the actual outcome of the game, Clear taking up quite a lot, and they saw Canyon over here as well. The bubble going to miss. Clear has to go in and then flash out, and now that's one of their tanks just kind of gone.
Diablo is like, I want to hit them, but it's so risky. there's so many things that can just rip my health bar to 0. He's just trying. He's like trying to hit Keen, and Keen's like, I'm not even going to be in range, by the way.
Yeah.
Now the wraparound is complete. Let's see if you can fight your way on this one.
Okay, that is one way to just die. Flash into the Nico.
Did he think he was going to flash past it when Duro flashed towards him? Or maybe he thought getting closer to him would allow him to kill him fast. I don't know about this.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is a grand finals.
But that did happen, yeah. This is indeed a grand finals. It's
Kellen
still LCK, and it's
holds
still
the
GENG.
wave. I suppose that's good. Plus 15
Is it?
gold.
Yeah. Well, King gonna enjoy another kill. And, you know, one of the big hopes
Watch
for BNK is now 0-3.
Diablo is now trapped. He was chasing Keen, trying to get up, and then the rest of the team can't do anything. He flashes into the Pop Blossom.
I mean, it just has to be a fat finger.
Because there's no reason. I mean, he's going to dash, like with a Z, maybe fat fingers, but if he flashes up, he can buy space there. If he walks up, he's fine. He's not in range, so...
I just thought he was gonna just flash away, you know?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he could have done that as well, and then he would have just been able to maybe offer some damage there, punish a little bit onto Duro, and see
Or
what
like
happens.
pulling, you know?
But now he doesn't have flash, so guess what? All the fear we talked about, all the threats, all the danger, all the Cyclone, Tibbers, Pop Blossom, Ruler's damage, by the way, because he's up an item. He can just 1v1 you. Now you don't have flash to get away from any of that. All you got is a dash and a dream, and you want to be dashing towards the enemy champions and killing them if you're Lucian, but especially if you're Diablo, but you're 0-3-1, and you might be 0-3 in this series. Again, if a miracle doesn't happen here for BNK, 6K behind.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the damage because often that's the scariest thing. Like, yeah, Annie can just one combo you, but if Annie's not there, you saw that he wasn't even willing to dash towards an Aatrox, and that's because if you get hit by one Q1, like any sweet spot, you're gonna die because they have so much damage. They're very far ahead. The Aatrox can do it, the Annie can do it, the Unara can do it.
Imagine if they had Infernal Soul too.
Yeah, well, they're probably about to, as the culling is good this time around, and now they're going to try to find Duro. They're going to sweep the clone. But Duro at least did go for the Pop Blossom, so I suppose a calculated trade of ults will give it to him.
I don't know if it's going to be enough to help them secure this dragon, because I don't think that the Emperor's Divide was necessarily going to be what saves them here. The Pop Blossom being gone gives them a little bit of extra space. GENG just have so much power, though, right now. TP here from Keen is an interesting angle. They're looking to give for Baron, almost, it looks like, at this moment in time.
I mean, I suppose they could. They don't necessarily have to. Duro, awkward spot for him, but the root is there. And Ruler's just kind of running at them. There is Canyon going on in, finding the front line. Diablo the first to go, Kellen the second. And I think the wallets are just too heavy. The root comes in, and down goes Vikla. And this is looking like an ace to the side of GENG. The tanks, if they're alone, can do nothing. And at least Ruler, or Raptor rather, is going to be able to flash his way to safety. But this game can't flash away to safety for BNK. It's looking like a 3-0 tonight here, Wolf.
It does look that way. And what a tragic loss for BNK. But perhaps now they understand how D+ felt yesterday at their mercy.
How cold it gets at the top, as Ruler was talking about.
Well said.
In the trash talk.
Look at Diablo here. It's just that simple.
No flash.
The follow-up is immense. The damage is there. It's 2 autos from Ruler. That's all it needs to finish him off. It's literally that simple. They're that far behind. Without flash, because as you pointed out, you know, they used it when the Pop Blossom situation happened moments before.
Yeah.
I'm in awe of GENG, and yet I think if I said that I watched BNK's best today, it wouldn't be true as well.
Yeah, I think both can be true. I think the second that GENG come out as strong as they did in Game 1, that's where BNK are going to begin to struggle. Like, I think Game 1 was the closest we had. And GENG were just like, no, there's no in for you here tonight, guys. Like, this is our final. And they've made that pristinely clear to all of us. We even had some predictions for BNK, just because the hype was real. You know, the waters were feeling like BNK, they're looking so strong in that 3-0 against DK, but this is just another level.
We've really created quite large tier gaps between our 1, 2, and 3 in this tournament, haven't we?
Yeah, we definitely have. And Chovy says, you know what? Sion's good enough. I'll just press my buttons onto him. Don't have to overthink it here. Although Clear, I mean, he's pretty tanky, and he's only half his health down, and Vikla's getting free money and bot.
Also has TP. This could be one step for BNK to give them one miracle fight. They'll need so many. Where's that TP, Vikla? They need you. They need your Emperor's Divide. He wants that turret first, but there's a limited amount of time. Gets the bounty. He's backing first. They're just trying to slow this down.
Yeah, maybe hoping that GENG are going to peel off of it, but it doesn't seem likely as now we get the TP and Diablo goes in, and that's the damage that they just push him away and immediately just pops like a balloon to the Unara. And you see Vikla as well trying to survive on the right side. He's going to get rooted up, and that'll be the end of him. The quadra kill for Ruler. He is screaming for the Penta, and you know they're going to give it to him. Penta kill for Ruler in the LCK Cup Grand Finals.
A Penta in the finals, and I guess Vikla got his Shadow Flame. You know, he put it together. He wasn't going to come to that fight early. He said, I'm getting this turn, I'm going to get Shadow Flame, I'll be right there. But the rest of his team was dead upon arrival. And the Diablo Lucian this time is 0-5. And GENG dominate, crush this finals like they crushed all tournament long. BNK took one game off of them. That's the only scratch they had all tournament long. But on the second time of asking, they dropped 0.
GENG are a different beast, and BNK, they came up here and they found out immediately what it's like to play against GENG on this stage. And the tier list of LCK Cup remains with GENG up there at least. And nobody was really able to scratch them. DK got one game, BNK got one game in their last best of 5, and that was it. They only dropped 2 games this entire LCK Cup. And there it is, your 2026 LCK Cup champion, GENG Esports. They are the best team currently in the LCK, and nobody comes close.
And despite that lack of world championship here for Chovy, still you cannot deny that he and this squad have run the global League of Legends circuit for a long time now. They have been at the forefront, and sure, they lost that LCK Summer to Hanwha Life. They couldn't get the qualification for first stand last year, but they come in as first seeds this time with the LCK Cup in tow. And it's been their dominant performances throughout both regular season, translate to playoffs, and even internationally picking up titles like Esports World Cup last year. There's really just one trophy in the chest that's missing, and this is the start of the year. This is where you take your first steps. Let's see if this team, who's been together already for a year now with this full roster, can break the ceiling and break the plateau. Because that's the question on everyone's mind, and that's what being GENG is to drop 2 games of this whole tournament. And still one of the top comments will be, well, will they win Worlds? We'll have to wait and find out, Valdez. But it's just, again, another amazing start for this elite super team.
It feels like we shouldn't have had any doubt. And Atlas was the only 3-0 prediction. The Atlantis strikes again. And after seeing these games today, I feel like we should have known that it was going to be one-sided. We get only 6 out of the potential 10 games, as now individual players are going to be lifting the trophy.
Every player had a part to play.
But there was one who rose above the rest, Wolf.
And he will raise the trophy now. To the loudest cheer I think I've heard since we've been here. An incredible, incredible performance from Canyon today. Well, might have outdone it with this cheer.
Yeah.
Chovy had an amazing game 3. There's no doubt about that. And a great series and a great tournament. But it's just a team effort. You know, this team just doesn't make mistakes. And if you make one mistake against them, it's the last thing you'll do.
Ryu.
Yeah!
Yeah, get in there.
He just beat his former team.
Yeah.
Proved to the world here that a little bit more of a strong roster, he can turn this team into something even more fearsome. Because I think we have seen an evolution of GENG here with this roster already in just really the first 2 months of 2026. Chovy, 35,000 damage. Diablo and Vikla not really coming close.
Less than that combined. And yeah, Chovy pulls out the ante in game 3. Nice little trump card there against Vikla's Azir. You remember Vikla was able to get the solo kill on Akali against Chovy's Azir, and that was a big talking point for this matchup in their last best of 5. But then Chovy was like, nah, I'm just better in that one and this one. And I think he topped it off really well there with that Annie performance. So props to Chovy, he's looking great. Everybody on GENG in form. They come to Hong Kong, win 3 games, and that's it. They don't have to do anything else.
I do want to say that even though we had the least amount of games possible, it has been an honor to be here at the Kaitak Arena with the fans who have been so nice to us and have been so welcoming to us. And I think the players feel the same way. And we can continue to do more stuff here with Hong Kong because this event has been awesome. And this is the least amount of games we could have had, the least amount of LCK we could have had here, and it was still such a great experience.
Yep, could have even been better, and I know that a lot of the players really enjoying their time here for sure, so definitely want to highlight that. Huge crowd as well, awesome atmosphere, everybody just passionate to come down and support the LCK. You know, a lot of them even fans of other teams, but they're like, no, I'm just gonna come watch the finals regardless, and really do appreciate that for all of us here at the LCK. So yeah, 3-0 wasn't the most hype. We didn't have crazy back and forths or anything like that, but it was still a ton of fun and a huge honor. Do want to echo that sentiment to be here and do the Hong Kong LCK Cup Finals.
Yeah, and I think for BNK, my closing thoughts are massive improvements have been made. I think this is going to be an experience that stays with these players forever. They got to feel both the 3-0 stomp and got to be the ones who received it themselves in the next day in front of a crowd like this. Psychologically, experience-wise, what you could take away from this tournament is so much. And with Ryu, you know, gone away from them now, their new coaching staff is going to have to figure out how to get pick these pieces up and bring this team to LCK. We know this team could do great things. They look like a Legend Group team, but let's see what the rest of the year holds.
Yeah, I think they absolutely are. BNK, still a somewhat young roster, especially with guys like Diablo and even Raptor. To still have a lot of time in their careers, and they've been huge pillars of their team. But yeah, I mean, that kind of closes out for the side of BNK, for the side of GENG. I mean, no notes really.
I mean, we're about to hear from them pretty soon what they think about this tournament.
We just need to see more, because they really haven't done anything wrong here, and not for the rest of the LCK Cup as well. So yeah, just hoping they can continue with this form into LCK and then eventually internationals, and try to just stack the trophy case even more, because definitely the best team here at the LCK Cup by far. And yeah, any other thoughts, Wolf?
It's just been awesome. I am really looking forward to LCK. This playoffs, this LCK Cup group battle showed that I think the gap between all of our teams, maybe here at the very end, looked a little bit high, but overall during the season here that we had for LCK Cup was a lot closer than I think it was last year. So hoping for a really competitive season. I think we're going to get it.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I'm going to hand it over to Deer for the translation of the rest of the show. Take care and have a good night.
And up, guys, this is Deer for the full team interview translation. Joined by GENG, who just closed out the LCK Cup Grand Finals with a 3-0. You just became the LCK Cup champions. How does it feel? Yeah, I think we were the runner-up last year, and I'm just really happy that we're able to be the champion this year. How would you rate your own performance today?
경기력이 전체적으로 되게 잘한 것 같아서 그래도 한 8점 정도, 10점 만점에 8점 정도 주고 싶은 것 같습니다.
I think overall we had a pretty good performance, so I would like to give myself a 7.5, maybe 8 out of a 10.
남은 2점은
What about the remainder of the plays? You did so well.
앞으로도 더 열심히 하려고 남은 2점은 아껴두고
For the rest of the 2 points, that's just for me to do
네,
even better, so I'll have to just make up for it in the future.
再次恭喜晒你 ，Thank you， 감사합니다。哇哦，之後就到 常之犀利啊！我想講咧，由 first game 開始咧，其實你哋本身係揀咗一個叫做後期嘅陣容啦，但係你前期其實基本上已經可以取得咗一個絕對嘅優勢咁滯㗎咯喎，你自己有冇諗過咧？
1세트 때 별을 조합으로도 초반에 교전에서 리드를 볼 거라고 예상을 하셨나요?
Game comp, did you expect to get such a strong head
그런 걸 다
start?
예상은 하지 못했는데 그래도 밸류 조합으로도 초반에 좀 이겨놓으면 나중에 훨씬 좀 쉽게 이길 수 있다고 생각해서 좀 운이 좋았다고 생각합니다.
其實呢個咧就根本就係完全預想唔到
Yeah,
啦。不過
honestly,
咧，即使係
that's
攞咗
not
後
something
期嘅
that we
組
can
合咧，
predict
或
or
者前期
expect,
都攞到好多嘅
but
優勢，
obviously
咁
with
咧
a
都對我
value
哋勝
comp,
利咧
if we
佔
win hard in the
有一
early
個
game,
好
we
大
can
嘅
definitely have an
原因
easier
係
time
有一
during the
個
rest
成
of
就
the
咗我哋
game.
嘅
So I
勝利。
think
仲話係
we
運
felt
氣添
quite
啊！佢
lucky
真係
from
非
that.
常之謙虛啊，係咪啊？不如我哋都俾啲掌聲佢啊，好唔好啊？但係我仲有樣嘢想問啊，唔知道大家好唔好奇嘅？一開始咧，咪有一條喺香港拍嘅 teaser 片嘅。其實喺香港拍 teaser 片有冇啲咩趣事可以同我哋分享下咧？因為都好想知道，好型啊！
시조 촬영하실 때 혹시 재밌었던
When we were,
에피소드가
so you guys were
있었는지
able
궁금합니다.
to shoot features here for the teaser. Was there any fun episode you want to share?
엄청 큰 배가 있었는데
There was a really
그
big
배를
ship
뭔가 타보고 싶다는
on
생각을
the
좀
river,
했었어요.
so I just was thinking that I wish I was on that boat. It was really cool.
所以嗰陣就諗咧，都好想試下搭嗰隻船。
我啱啊！而家我哋仲好早咋，你今晚可以即管再出去睇下都可以㗎，冇問題㗎，多謝晒你 ，thank you。係啦，睇下可唔可以喺維港度有機會撞到佢，我哋維港景色都好靚㗎。當然就要問下 Chofi 你好，係啦，想問下我，好俾你嗌下先，嗌下先。OK， 嗱當然咧就要問下啦，賽前其實你最在意對手乜嘢嘅部分呢？
이번 경기에 그 상대 준비하실 때 제일 신경 썼던 부분이
What did you
무엇인가요?
watch out for the most
아무래도 일단
about BNK Furex
BFX가
preparing for the
바텀이
finals?
좀 되게 좀 돋보이는데 아무래도 저는 미드 정글에서 잘 눌러놓으면은 상대 바텀에 활약하기 전에 이길 수 있을 것 같아서 미드 정글 좀 많이 신경 썼습니다.
So BNK Furex, their bottom lane really stands out. So I wanted to make sure that our mid jungle duo can get ahead really fast so that we can prevent them popping off later.
因為咧仲有2日就係佢生日啊嘛，我哋一齊用英文唱個生日歌俾佢好唔好啊？我數3聲之後，可唔可以啊？可以啊嘛，準備1、2、3。Happy birthday to you, Happy birthday to you, Happy birthday to。哇！呢個應該都係其中一個好好嘅生日禮物啦。有冇啲咩説話同我哋咁多位嘅朋友仔講呢？
응원해주신 팬분들께 한마디
Anything you would like to say to all of the fans who have supported you?
감사해서
I am very,
너무
very
감사합니다.
grateful. I have no words.
嘅支持啊！
이거 생소는 예상 못했죠.
Were you expecting this much of a celebration for your birthday?
完全冇遇到大家會幫我
Of
唱
course
生日快樂
not. I had no
因為我哋
idea.
都想送呢個好特別嘅生日禮物俾你，希望你都可以喺香港呢度玩得開心。Thank you，多謝，감사합니다。
Thank you very much, Chovy.
好，跟住就要問下，哇 Wula， 你啱啱喺最後嗰度嚟咗個 Pentakill 喎，係咪啊？你都唔使。未翻譯佢都已經聽得明啦，但係都要講下嘅，因為你覺得呢個 Pentakill 你自己有冇預計到咧？同埋要唔要多謝一下你嘅隊友仔一齊成就咗呢個 Pentakill 咧？仲要真係去到好 last minute 喎。
Congratulations on the pentakill as well. Would you like to say thank you to your teammates, maybe?
일단 고맙긴 한데 그렇게
What?
크게 고맙진 않은 것 같아요.
I can't say thank you, but I'm not that grateful, honestly.
係。真係唔多謝佢哋啊！咁唔多謝咯，我哋。咁我又想問下啦，咁 MVP 你又覺得係邊個咧？係你自己啊，定係既然都唔多謝啦，係咪你自己咧？
혹시 오늘의 파이널 MVP도 누구라고 생각하시나요?
Who do you think will be the finals MVP today? Maybe yourself?
건가요?
일단 저는 아니라고
I don't think
생각하고요.
I'm gonna win the finals MVP. I'm
我覺得就唔
thinking
係我啦，
either
應
one
該
of
都
the
係咧
top-
上路啦、大野或者中路其中一
So
個人咧會攞到
it
呢
could
個
be top,
MVP 嘅。
jungle, or mid. So
到底
one
係
of
邊
the
個
three players on the
咧？
top
一
side.
陣就知㗎啦，大家唔該晒 ，thank you。
Thank you very much, Ruler. And one more time,
之後就
congratulations.
嚟到我哋嘅 Doodle 選手。
Now let's hear from
我又想問
Duro.
一下，係咪你哋係咪想叫一次先？俾你哋啊，1、2、3。OK， 嗱，當然想問下你自己又覺得今日嘅3場比賽入邊最難忘嘅名場面係咩咧？
오늘 경기에서 제일 기억에 남는 장면이
What is the most
있다면
memorable moment from the series
언제일까요?
today?
제가 한 장면은 아닌데 제일 기억에 남는 장면은 그 캐니언 선수가 안배사로 그 6렙 때 용을 스틸하는 장면이 제일 인상 깊었습니다.
Well, it's not my play actually, but when Canyon was able to steal the Drake on Mbessa at level 6, that was amazing.
偷咗條龍，呢個場面咧令我最印象深刻。
所以就成為咗呢個殺龍嘅呢行啦。喂，咁當然啦，我想問下有冇啲乜嘢嘅説話係可能想同翻對手講呢？今次。
오늘 함께 고생하신 상대팀 BNK
And BNK FearX was also able to showcase a great match together. Any message over to your opponent?
뭐 많이 남았는데 앞으로도 화이팅.
GG's everyone. You know, you guys all worked really hard for the moment, and you guys also have a lot to come in the future as well. So I wish you guys all the best as well.
그거 광동어는 한마디 가르치고 싶은데.
I would like to teach you a Cantonese phrase for you. Could you repeat after me? With a lot of energy.
네, 따져라.
맞아요, 우리 성공했어요.
Great job. That was perfect.
好啊，講得。我哋得咗啦。
Amazing. Thank you very much, Duro.
너무 좋아요. 네.
The fans are absolutely loving it.
감사합니다.
俾多啲掌聲佢好唔好啊？係咪啊？好難㗎，嗰5粒字真係好。當然就要問一下我哋嘅教練 Liu 教練啦，係啦。首
Now
先
let's hear from Ryu, the head coach of GENG.
係咪你哋都想叫一下教練先啊？好，俾你哋1、2、3。 好啦，嗱，歡呼聲完咗之後，都想問一下啦，就係覺得今次可以拎到3-0一個非常之壓倒性嘅勝利，你覺得個原因係啲咩咧？
압도적으로 이기셨는데
It was a dominant victory. What do you think worked the best today?
선수들이 전체적으로 좀 컨디션도 좋고 폼도 좋았어서 선수들이 오늘 정말 잘해줬다고 생각합니다.
Our players did an absolute perfect job today. Their condition, their performance, everything was on point.
贏得呢個勝利嘅。
你哋今日係會慶祝㗎嘛？你係咪㗎？
오늘도 뭐 퇴근하시고 세리머니 하실 생각 있으신가요?
Are you guys gonna celebrate after work today? Maybe a team dinner?
네, 오늘 회식할 예정입니다.
Of course, of course.
係會慶祝嘅，所以咁希望你就食多啲，跟住之後就再繼續去比賽，帶更加多精彩嘅賽事俾我哋啦。都唔該晒教練 ，thank you。
Thank you very much, Ryu.
跟住我哋就到Lin嗱，都想問一下啦，就係其實咧 LCK
Now let's hear from Lin,
真係叫
the
做
coaching staff from
韓國嚟
GENG.
到香港呢度搞啦，你自己又覺得如何咧？同埋啲隊員一齊嚟到香港呢度進行呢個比賽。
LCK 컵이 처음으로 한국으로 떠나 홍콩에서 열리게 됐는데
Now this was like the first ever LCK Cup roadshow outside of Korea. How was it?
좀 적응하는데 걸릴 줄 알았는데 음식도 너무 맛있고 팬분들도 너무 다 잘 응원해 주셔가지고 너무 좋았던 것 같습니다.
Yeah, I thought it might take us a little bit more time to adapt to the new stage and everything, but actually the food was amazing, the support from the fans was amazing, we had a great time. And more food incoming later tonight, right? Thank you very much, Lin.
最緊要就係嚟到最後啦，我覺得咧呢個任務咧就需要交俾阿
Now let's hear from Nova.
有啲咩説話想同我哋今日非常之辛苦嘅咁多位隊員講，同埋有啲咩説話想同我哋在場1萬名嘅觀眾同埋我哋睇緊直播嘅朋友仔講呢？
팀원들과 그 현장에 계신 팬분들하고 그리고 지금 생방송을 보고 계시는 팬분들한테 한말
Anything you would like to say to your players, the fans here at the arena, and also all the fans watching online?
좀 흥미로웠던
관계 같이 일하면서 이제 루 감독님이나 임코치님이나 모두 너무 열정적이라서 막 전날 뱀픽회의 하거나 할 때 경우의 수를 이렇게까지 따지나 싶을 정도로 서로 많은 이야기를 나누거든요. 이런 부분들이 뭐 팀의 승리에 조금이라도 기여질 수 있게 최선을 다할 거고 팬분들 홍콩 열기가 너무 뛰어나서 그냥 너무 놀란 것 같아요. 오히려 한국만큼 뛰어난 것 같아서 진짜 놀랐어요 많이.
One thing that was really interesting to me that I found out after joining GENG was that head coach Ryu, Coach Lin, they were really passionate about the game. When we were doing draft meetings the night before the matches, you know, they go through all of the possible numbers of cases, you know. We always have so much communication. I think this is the key that contributed to all of the wins that we were able to achieve this year. And also, I was really amazed by the energy of the fans here in Hong Kong. I'm very grateful.
再一次恭喜我哋2026 LCK Cup Finals in Hong Kong presented by CGA 嘅冠軍隊伍 GENG。다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
먼저 나가줘.
내가 먼저 나. 나 괜찮아, 그냥. 나한테 백.
이거 살려 노플이야. 아 이거 바로 쏘아줘야 돼. 바로 쏘아줘야 돼.
아, 좋았고.
나가고 바로 노플. 이거 나 관문 가야 돼요, 형. 야 이거 관문 깔아봐. 안 끌게. 깔아봐. 오케이. 바로 죽었는데 못 갔네. 될 수도. 어때? 와 진짜 누가 잘하긴 했다. 너플 그렇게? 지금 먼저 한번 걸딱 나오냐?
한번 궁한 다.
이러면 진짜. 얘? 타임 빼고. 도발 걸렸어. 레타. 야, 태주가. 미드. 앞에 들어. 너네 미드. 야, 레넥 보자.
야, 바로 나오거든.
노플.
바로 나와. 바로 나와.
나 셀러 없으니까 탑 갈게. 야 이겼어 루시안 상대 안 좋아.
앞에 줄래? 앞에 때려. 아지르 너고.
펜타.
펜타야?
펜타. 아 펜타 뺏어야 돼. 펜타 저거. 싫은데? 형님. 뭐 어떻게 해줘 이거. 펜타 뺏어야 되는데. 리그염. 죽어.
迎大家收睇我哋2026 LCK Cup Finals in Hong Kong presented by CGA 總決賽，我哋嘅冠軍已經順利誕生啦！不如呢個時候都邀請我哋嘅頒獎嘉賓出嚟，我哋馬上有請香港特別行政區政府文化體育及旅遊局副局長劉振先生 JP 出嚟為我哋頒發冠軍獎項，我哋有請劉副局長。
문화체육관광국 부회장 유진님을 모시고 시상식 진행하겠습니다.
可唔可以俾啲掌聲我哋歡迎我哋劉副局長出嚟啊
Undersecretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism, HKSAR Government.
我哋都非常之多謝我哋特別行政區政府支持我哋嘅
He will
電
be
競發展
joining
嘅，
to
咁
present
所
the
以
Championship Award.
接住落嚟嘅時間就係有請我哋嘅冠軍得主，我哋嘅隊長 Ruler 就係上前代表去接受領獎，亦都有請劉副局長為我哋頒發得獎嘅支票嘅。
대장 룰러 선수가 대표로 앞으로 나오셔서 수상하시겠습니다.
Ruler, as the captain of the team, please step forward to receive on behalf of GENG. And one more time, this is your 2026 LCK Cup champion, GENG.
一眾嘅隊員都上前同埋我哋劉副局長一齊影翻張大合照嘅。
선수분들 모두 앞으로 나오셔서 함께 사진 촬영하겠습니다.
Now let's take a good photo together with Mr. Lau.
好，我哋睇下先，係局長已經被 GENG 包圍啦，我哋副局長係啦。好，可能我哋之後喺 LOL 入邊都有機會見到劉副局長嘅參與啦。好，我哋一齊望住前面啊！我哋都有好多嘅媒體朋友啊。好，我哋再望一下先，大家有冇邊位朋友想佢哋望過去㗎？喂，有喎，我哋都不如望一望左手邊嘅朋友，왼쪽嘅시선 왼쪽 부탁드립니다。
And to your left, please.
好，跟住不如都望一望我哋右手邊嘅朋友好唔好啊？我哋 왼쪽嘅시선 부탁드립니다。 望一望右手邊。오른쪽。
Now to your right,
已經
please.
開始啊，左右不分啊！我哋望一望佢哋先。好，我哋再一次熱烈嘅掌聲送俾我哋嘅總決賽冠軍 GENG。
Please give it up one more time for GENG, everyone.
劉副局長可以請稍移玉步到台下就座嘅 ，Thank you。當然啦，我哋今次嘅比賽咧，仲設有咗 MVP 嘅獎項啦，所以我哋接住落嚟將要頒發嘅就係 MVP啦，우리 MVP 시상식은 진행하겠습니다.
Now we are going to have the MVP awards for today's grand finals.
MVP는 누구인가요?
Who will be our MVP?
相信大家都期待咗好耐㗎啦，係咪啊？所以我哋要馬上請出頒獎嘉賓嘅。Please welcome Mr. Hong Sang-wood, Woody Bank General Manager, Retail Board and Marketing Department。 我哋掌聲歡迎
우리은행 리테일 제품 마케팅 부서의 총괄 부서장이신 홍상욱님을 모시고 MVP 발표 진행하도록 하겠습니다.
可唔可以再俾多次一個大力嘅掌聲歡迎佢啊！Woody Bank 一直都非常之 support 啊，所以可以有大聲啲嘅掌聲嘅。 呢個時候喺頒獎之前，不如我哋都有請 Mr. Hong 同大家分享幾句好唔好啊？我哋有請工作人員可以將支咪交俾我哋 Mr. Hong 先。
부장님께 인사 한 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
안녕하세요.
Hello everyone.
LCK 후원을 담당하고 있는 홍상욱
This is Hong Sang-wook from Woody Bank. I'm in charge of the LCK sponsorship. First off, happy birthday, Chobi, and congratulations.
LCK컵에서 8전 8승 무패라는
8-0 undefeated in the LCK Cup, and now GENG is the champion of the LCK Cup. Congratulations.
이제 MVP 시상을 시작하도록 하겠습니다.
And
감사합니다.
now we will reveal the finals MVP. Thank you.
恭祝 Trophy 咧嘅生日快樂啦，亦都恭喜佢哋今日咧再次獲得 LCK 級嘅勝利嘅。
係啦，到底呢個緊張嘅時候，到底我哋今晚 MVP 係邊位咧？2번 결승전의 MVP는
Who do you think will be the MVP?
축하드립니다.
Congratulations, Canyon.
恭喜晒 Canyon 成為咗我哋2026 LCK Cup Finals in Hong Kong presented by CGA 嘅 MVP。
Canyon is your 2026 LCK Cup Finals MVP. Congratulations.
我哋嘅 Canyon 同埋 Mr. Hong 一齊影翻張相先嘅。
두 분 함께 사진 촬영하시겠습니다.
呢個非常之犀利啊！我哋都再一次恭喜 Canyon， 亦都多謝晒 Mr. Hong 為我哋頒獎 ，Thank you， 감사합니다。係啦，可以稍移步去到。
Thank you very much, Mr. Hong.
呢個時候我哋要訪問一下我哋嘅 MVP 嘅喎 ，interview 展開。
And now let's hear from Canyon.
MVP interview 時間要你。係想問一下你，其實咧今次咧贏咗我哋嘅總冠軍之外啦，仲可以拎埋今場嘅 MVP， 你自己又覺得如何咧？係咪預咗㗎？有冇預咗咧？
LCK 컵을 우승하시고
Just won the 2026 LCK Cup and won the Finals MVP as well. How do you feel and were you expecting it? I didn't really have my hopes too high. It feels amazing to win the MVP. I do feel like I was having a great condition. I was feeling amazing and my performance was really good. So I'm really happy for that.
咁攞到都當然好開心啦。今日我嘅狀態都十分之好啦，咁所以我嘅表現都可以表現到俾大家睇啦。我哋亦都以3-0贏下咗呢個比賽嘅。
係啦，咁有冇話係覺得邊一場令到你可以成為今日嘅 MVP 咧？
어떤 세트 때문에 MVP를
What do you think was the game that kind of had the biggest impact to win the MVP?
그래도 한 칸타 단계에서 좀 싸움을 잘한 것 같아서 2세트로 하겠습니다.
I think game 2 maybe because I did really have a great team fight where my mechanics kind of did a great job.
其實佢哋場都打得咁好啦，不過都希望你可以食住呢個勢啊，跟住之後喺 First Set 2026都有好好嘅表現啦，再一次恭喜！冇錯，恭喜晒 Canyon 成為咗我哋今次決賽嘅 MVP。係啦，呢個時候當然就係再一次要恭喜晒我哋 GENG 成為咗我哋今次總決賽嘅冠軍。冠軍係邊個啊？ 冇錯，不如呢個時候我哋都叫晒所有嘅工作人員啊、教練一齊上台慶祝好唔好？我哋進行捧杯儀式啦！
다시 한번 축하드립니다. 그래서 코치님이랑 감독님도
One more time, congratulations, and we will have another trophy ceremony with the entire GENG staffs on stage.
我哋2026 LCK Cup Finals in Hong Kong presented by CGA 總決賽冠軍得主 Champion goes to 우승팀은 GENG! 呢個時候就係屬於佢哋嘅時候啦！今日都非常之榮幸可以同現場100名嘅觀眾同埋全球嘅觀眾朋友一齊見證咁精彩又刺激嘅賽事嘅。希望未來可以喺更多嘅電競活動同埋香港嘅盛事再次見到大家。多謝大家嘅支持，我哋下次見。단번에도 홍콩에서 만나요!